or both is
A
we are chat
rousing
World
success.
dominated.
The answer is yes, actually. He said if you...
If you get it working, you're going on DiamondClub.tv.
He actually said is... Brant actually did say as soon as we get our technical hiccups, then yeah, he'll probably toss us on live.
All right, well, it's passed. We're good. And you just froze.
Hold on. Just gotta...
Where are your parents' bottom?
What?
Parents' bottom.
I don't know what you want.
Where are your parents' bottom?
Not yet, we're not.
I don't understand what you're looking for, what you want.
Yeah, that's a problem. Everything is all freezy and herky-jerkatron on
Yeah.
my end.
Same here. And I probably sound a little crackly too, right?
Hold on, that's better. Talk?
Talk. Oh, from you is a fire that would ascend the brightest heaven of dimension, a kingdom for a stage, princes stacked and monarchs to behold the swelling scene. And should the warlike Aerie like himself assume the port of Mars, and at his heels leashed in like hound should famine, sword, and fire crash for employment. Well, they're not here. I will tell you if I find them. Can you complain in your room, please?
I have been to the
Okay.
shower.
So that's weird to me.
What?
It's... I'm very confused because I can't hear anything you're saying.
How about now? Or now? Or now? Or now? Or now?
But,
Oh, from
like I
you is
heard
the
that there was
fire
somebody in your room a moment ago.
Right, yes.
No, everything sounds fine now. Say something?
Check. 1, 2. What up? One day more to revolution. We will nip it in the bud. Into the woods we must go. We must begin our journey into the woods. Into the woods to sell a friend. Into the home before
So
dark.
I heard that it was just...
Well, I'm hearing you in perfect stuff, so I'm not sure what's happening.
Let me turn my...
The only thing I have running is this and Audacity.
It's weird. Thought I could turn my settings down. Let's close that. Close that. Once again, just trying to figure out some of this stuff. Just want to make it...
Why do you have 4 different Chrome processes?
I'm getting you. It's just broken.
Yeah. Why do I have like 12 different processes for Chrome up? I don't understand.
If you are the one person watching live...
We have
no,
applaud you.
no,
You
nobody's
deserve
watching
a
live.
medal.
Hold on, let me get the link back. Did you just join DCTV chat?
Yeah.
Oh, no, you just left? No, you just joined. Blender quit. Got it. I hear you just fine now.
Okay. Maybe it's because I hit limit bandwidth? How about now? Am I good? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18,
There's a
19, 20.
whole lot of lag.
Okay, I'm going to say 1, and I want you to reply. 1.
I'm gonna say now. When you hear me say now, say now. And it's not okay. I'm gonna say go. The next time you hear me say it, say go.
Go. That is an obscene amount of lag.
Wow. So I'm letting you know because I think you're hearing me in proper time. I haven't heard to say go yet.
Seriously? Call Kuhan.
Okay. I'm getting massive lag. Oh, now he's calling me. Got it.
Yeah,
Hey.
so what I am hearing you in real time, but you're not hearing me in real time.
Yeah. Do me a favor and quit the
And then
call,
rejoin. Yeah, sure.
and then rejoin.
How about now?
Say something?
Something.
And now I can't hear you again. Hold on.
My settings are normal on this thing, so.
Honestly, I'm thinking we could even just do it like this. Say something?
Something. Oh, for
Perfect.
muse of fire that would.
Don't stop.
Hammer time?
Okay. Ooh, it's still a second or two of lag, but that's better than it was earlier.
We can fix it in post.
See, here's the thing is, I see you in real time, and I don't hear you in real time. I don't know what that problem is. Because, like, when you say something on my screen, I'm hearing you on my phone.
That is strange. That is really strange.
Yeah.
Hold on. Can Cord Killers chat hear us right now?
I don't know. Rick Foster is watching us right now, and I think Gadaweg is watching us right now. I don't know if or who.
Can they hear us?
I assume so. By the way, so I just heard you on my computer say, "Can Cord Killers Chat hear us right now?" But I heard you on my. I could see you say, "Can they hear us?"
Right. Which is
So
not necessarily conducive.
yeah. So Rick Foster, the only person who I know for sure is watching. Let me know what the lag is like on your end. Because if it's not bad on your end, as in the end user end, then honestly, I wouldn't mind just recording like this.
Yeah, same. Audience, because this is what we're doing this for, the audience,
Right.
is comfortable with this arrangement.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
Rick, you can hear us, but what is the lag bad, or if okay, I'm gonna say go, then Joe will say go, and tell me how long the lag is. Go.
Well, I just heard you on my phone, so go.
No, I don't care what you think the lag is. I care what Rick thinks the lag is. So I'm gonna do it again. Go. Joe, I know you can hear me. Say go.
Go.
Jesus. You're the worst. Okay, Jesse has texted me that there isn't really any lag. Yes,
That
Brant,
is a phone
that is a
wedged
phone wedged against my
in your
face.
face.
No, Rick says me go. Are you kidding me? Oh my god. This is the worst.
Yes. Oh man, go has been said.
Can you adjust your bandwidth usage?
Yes. What do you want me to adjust it to?
What's it on right now?
Medium.
Try low?
How about now? Oh wait, no, that didn't change. Nope. I want you to. Fuck. How about now?
The audio's still going at the original. That's weird. The video changed and the audio's still going at the.
I can even go very low.
No.
Let me try this.
I'm seeing you in real time and I'm hearing you super delayed.
How about now? Or now? Or now? Or now?
Alright, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna plug my headphones into my phone. And we're just gonna do this. Can you hear me fine?
Yeah, hold on. Let me plug these headphones into my computer. Because my earbuds are plugged into my phone.
Fantastic.
We're doing this.
Welcome to the Ghetto as Shit podcast. Yeah, Brandon echoes and echoing because you're hearing me on Joe's phone. I just want to make. Rick, I understand the Google Hangout live lag is long, a minute to be broadcasted that, but what it is I'm getting about 2 minutes from when Joe says something to me hearing it. But I am seeing him live.
It's very strange.
Yeah. So hold on, I'm broadcasting on low right now. Actually, you can change it even back to medium or high, probably. Medium, do medium.
I'm broadcasting on very low right now.
Yeah. It was fine on medium. The problem is the audio, and I don't know what that problem is.
Yeah.
So hold on, let me plug my computer, let me plug my phone in.
I didn't know BB Live Show was still making episodes. They are. It's called Night Attack.
What'd you say?
Gatewag just said, I didn't know BB Live Show was still making episodes, presumably in response to welcome to the Ghetto as Shit. Well, first point, they are. It's just called Night Attack now. And second point, does Kuhan look like a magician to you? The lag to us is about 2 seconds for your conversations. That sounds reasonable.
Well, that's lag for you on the computer too, right?
Yeah.
You can respond to people that know what I said, because I'm not on microphone.
So Kuhan is saying, well, that's about the same thing for. What did you say?
For you, you are also getting a reasonable conversation by using.
Yes, I would have gotten Yeah, it's about the same lag that I would have expected via Skype or something.
Yeah.
Like, it's the reason you can't sing a duet on Skype. Unless you time it very, very carefully.
And also don't listen to the other person.
Yeah. Neshcom has joined chat. So Kuhan's in the process of getting another mic set up, I think.
No, I'm plugging my phone in so it doesn't die mid-show so I can hear you.
Oh.
That's right. Welcome to Ghetto as Fuck.
So Gatowag just says, I don't know if saying Kuhan looks like a magician is an insult or not. It probably would be.
All right.
Wow. The dumbest.
Hey,
I'm amazed he didn't win that. I'm amazed he didn't win that this year.
No, because the winner was Brian and Justin fighting live on the air.
Also, 2 plugs.
I had this great magic book when I was a kid, but I can't find it. All right.
All right.
All right.
The only thing I have up is Chrome and this. So, yeah. Life's good. Life's good.
Literally all I have open is this and Audio Hijack, which I'm apparently only going to use to record myself, and then just assume I know how a conversation flows.
Check, check, 1, 2. Check. Okay. Hold on. Let me just make sure this is working. Oh, that's why. So, apparently I plugged the wrong jack into the wrong jack.
What?
On Audacity. Like, I plugged, because the Plantronics has 2 jacks on the end, the microphone jack
Okay,
and the headphone
got it.
jack.
Yeah.
So I plugged microphone into headphone and headphone into microphone. So I was like, why aren't I hearing myself? The jacks are in. And they just were in the wrong slots. So
Mega
that's
Man
how-
jack in, power up. You jacked into the wrong slot?
Yeah.
Happens all the time.
This is about the same lag I hear when I'm editing, so that's good.
Yeah, no, I will just assume I know how a conversation flows. Let's see.
I was wondering why I was only hearing the input from my phone.
Hey, Jesse, if you are still watching live, can you post a link in this Facebook chat to the stream that I'm watching right now so I can post it on Facebook? Because I am not touching anything on the computer right now. All that's going to happen is Hangouts and the recording of my own track.
That made little to no sense.
Did you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, it just didn't make sense, the words in that order?
Yes.
Got it.
Like, I heard all the
Understood.
words, but the words in that order did not make logical sense.
All right. This is
This is a
happening.
thing.
This is definitely happening.
Welcome to the Dumbest Shit podcast.
This is awful. I would like to apologize in advance or also in not advance. First of all, I'd like to apologize for anybody who's been paying attention to this for the last hour, because it's been an hour that we've been trying to get this damn thing set up. And
Pre-show.
hopefully it'll work next
Pre-show.
Yeah, pre-show, after show for the Patreon listeners. Check out patreon.com/realviewmirror. Oh boy. Oh golly, you devil. Um, Jesse just texted me. Post what where?
See, I told you that made little to no sense.
No, you're right. You're right. Link it. Okay, so we are now live, and everything is sort of working. We're a little bit jury rigged. For those of you watching who don't know what Realview Mirror is, which should probably be most of you, um, we are a media consumption podcast? Question mark. We consume media and talk about the media we consume, which I will talk about in a moment. This episode we're going to be talking about the internet and its use as a media consumption and creation platform. And I am going to sound more like a host when we actually do that. But in the meantime, I just need to post this to my followers. We are a media consumption podcast. We consume media. Oh god.
That was strange. So apparently we're on the thing.
Wait, what?
No, because I was refreshing the thing, so don't worry.
We're on what thing? What are we on?
We're on DiamondClub.tv.
We're airing live on Diamond Club TV right now?
Yes.
Well, that's awesome. Hello.
So yeah, we're a Chat Realm Award nominated show.
Chat Realm Award nominated podcast, Realview Mirror. I believe I was nominated for both the GTF4 award and the dumbest shit, which is exactly what this is. The dumbest shit. Yes, Rick, I did get your email. I will let you know in a bit. Also, apparently, so real quick, my friend Jesse, who's watching this show, is apparently doing what Len Peralta does on every Friday episode of Daily Tech News Show and drawing me while we record. So that's cool. Let me now. I just want to post this to Facebook before I start the show, just so people know that I'm live. But yes, Rick, sorry, back to that. I did, in fact, get your email, and I will be responding to it probably once this is done.
He does that.
Because I only sort of read part of it and didn't read the whole thing yet. Hey, check me out live on. So if I send the link to DiamondClub.tv, they can just watch me? That is sick. Thank you, Gadawag. Recording. Joe, you need to vamp while I'm not talking.
What? Oh, right. So
you're going to fill time while I'm being silent. That's how live podcasting works.
So dead air is a thing. So when people aren't talking, that's called dead air, and that's exactly what I was doing right there. And right now I'm laughing to fill that dead air because Kuhan is refusing to say something about as my punishment, I guess. And so I'm just going to keep talking until he says something. And so yeah, that's this is what? This is like your second time on this site in the last week?
Yeah, I was on DiamondClub.tv last week for My So-Called 8-Bit Life, which was released as a podcast today if you're in Mountain or Pacific time, yesterday if you're in Central or anything east of that time.
East of that time. That is a brilliant descriptor of Central and East as time zones.
And UTC. There's people from other countries. What if T2, if I say today for T2, that's not true. It's yesterday. It was Monday.
Clearly, America is a thing that has 4 time zones. Except when it doesn't because Hawaii exists.
Yeah, it has 6 time zones. Oh boy.
Yeah, good times.
Yes, sirree, Bob.
Good times.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
All right.
pre-showing.
So I have tweeted, I have Facebooked, which means we can probably go live, I guess. This is
All right.
scary. This is terrifying. This is the first. This is not the first time I've done a live podcast. I mean, like
the
like
second time he's done
as
a
a
lot.
host. No. It's like the fourth or fifth, but I hadn't done it in like 2 years, and the last time I did it was for Podcast and Power Rangers.
Yeah, and that was like what, 2 years ago?
That was 2 years ago, and that was weird. Even when that happened, and then I did it for Parkcast actually.
You
Back
did
in
it
the
for
day.
Parkcast. Wow.
Yeah, it was on Stickum, when Stickum was a thing, and because Parkcast was a show that we recorded live in studio. At that time, the studio was usually my basement, but that day the studio was my friend Greg's kitchen. So it's a lot easier to live stream 5 or 6 years ago when you were in the same room. Now we have Google Hangouts live on the air and also a phone call running at the same time to make live streaming working. Hashtag no pressure, Gadawag. Thank you. And who knows, if this works out, then maybe we'll do this more often, and it'll give us a reason to do Real View Mirror more regularly.
It would definitely incentivize this.
To do it actually bi-weekly like we plan to. All right. We're going to get started.
Audacity is running, and this is running, and I can see chat. Life is good.
Hit record, Joe.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
And for my friends watching live, if you want to go to diamondclub.tv and join the IRC chat, that will be cool. You can comment. You can talk to the other 6 people or whoever watching the show right now as well. So Anton and Jesse, you can join at diamondclub.tv. Join the chat. Hashtag join the conversation. At diamondclub.tv.
So Rick Foster says if we mess up, then he's going to go watch Blossom. So
I am gonna do 3, 2, 1, Joe, and I want you to join in at the 2 and 1, okay? Just so I can make sure to get this all synced up because I'm not recording this the way I usually do. Although
right,
I guess
fine.
there will be the YouTube recording, but whatever, just to be safe.
yeah.
All right. In 3, 2,
2,
1.
1.
This is episode 4 of Real View Mirror. Fuck. God. Already failed. Go watch Blossom, Rick.
Normally he gets it on the 4th or 5th try, so we'll see how this goes.
That's pretty much how it goes. And it is go time! All right.
8th or 9th if I count those.
That's true. If you count me accidentally starting the way I start Pockets of the Power Rangers.
Yeah, that's 8 or 9. Like if
All
I
right.
count if I count how other people start shows, that's the 8 or 9.
Welcome to the fine edition of Real View Mirror.
Or we could just start talking and do Nerdist.
Yeah, let's just do that. Okay. You don't need to do the 2-1 this time because I'll have the sync by now.
Sure.
In 3, 2, 1. This is episode 4 of the Real View Mirror podcast. I'm Nam Sneaky. You might know me better on these here internets as Kuhan. Joining me, as always, on the Real View Mirror podcast is Jose Cuevas. How is it going, Joe?
I feel like we've been trying to do this for far too long. I mean, episode 4, we're finally here. And even then, this isn't like the 4th episode we've done.
Well, yes, that's true. This is like the 34th episode we've done because we did the Real View Daily in the month of November, which was fun.
But am I talking about this episode, or am I talking about the entire Real View Mirror? What's
true.
taken too long?
That's true. I also did do Real View Daily alone in 2012, and also the original Real View Mirror, which we released 3 episodes of and recorded another like 4 or 5 or 7 or 8. But this is episode 4 of the Real View Mirror podcast. We are live right now on DiamondClub.tv. For those of you joining us on DiamondClub.tv, this is our first time doing a live podcast, so please be gentle. I will try not to drop the soap. We are Real View Mirror is a podcast about media consumption. We consume a lot of media, and then we get on here and we talk about the media that we consume, the concepts and distribution platforms, as it were, of the media that we consume. And today we're going to talk about a specific distribution platform, which is the internet as a distribution platform for media, and how it's really changed what media is now. So if you are bored listening to us, sorry. But we do usually start the show off talking about what media we have been consuming since we last released an episode. And I know you and I, Joe, have both been consuming a whole lot of 30 Rock.
A lot of 30 Rock. I think I may have actually rewatched the entire series 1.5 times at this point.
Wow. Yeah. I only watched the whole series, but I watched in order and you didn't. You were just picking and choosing episodes, whereas I started watching season 1, got a little bored, skipped to season 2, and then like just today I was looking for an episode because I realized that the opening credits changed from season 1 to season 2 to season 3, and then stay the same. And only Scott Adsit just changes between season 2 and season 3. But I was picking random episodes and like, oh wow, these happened in season 3. I could have sworn this was a season 1 episode, like Liz's adoption episode, the do-over. I did not realize that was the first episode of season 3. That felt
especially because Liz doesn't really get that much adoption focus in that point in time.
Yeah, and all the I was about to say Blossom because Rick Foster is talking about how he's watching Blossom instead of us right now. All of the MILF Island stuff I thought was season 1 and it was season 2. And season 1, season 2, obviously, with a lot of shows, season 1, season 2 can be very close to one another.
Especially because season 1 generally gets a shorter order, and season 1 is still trying to form an identity for itself. Like, if you're going to apply to as a writer to a certain show, most writing rooms want you to do a pitch for a currently running season currently running show that must be in its second season or further, because usually first season shows don't have that sense of identity nailed down, and sometimes they're still figuring it out even into season 2.
Yeah, exactly, and which is especially with a show like the other show I was watching, Parks and Rec, which had a 6-episode order for its first season, and the second season, 22 or 23 actually, and then actually from the second season to the third season, basically, they lose the male lead and becomes another different show again. But I'll talk about that in a second. But with 30 Rock, exactly, a lot of it feels like one season with seasons 1 and 2, especially with the way that Liz's character and Pete's character, like a lot of the main cast stuff, especially like the season 1 main cast is 7 people, and then it's expanded to another 7 people by season 4. But the season 1 cast includes like Scott Adsit as Pete and Judah Friedlander as, I forgot his name already.
Frank Rossitano.
Yeah, Frank Rossitano.
And there's definitely a far tighter focus on Pete in season 1 than there is in every other episode, because in season 1 he's that foil to Liz Lemon, whereas in every other season you've got Jack Donaghy doing the mentor or mentee role, and that's a different sort of foil. And they could have still done Pete and Liz stuff, but it would have felt like a rehash of Jack and Liz stuff.
Right, yeah, and they still do a few of Pete and Liz things, just less so. And Pete sort of changes and develops into a different character who's interacting more with the writers then. But like it's interesting actually, like watching back season 1, because actually what I did was I watched half of season 1, skipped and then started at season 2 and watched that, and then went back and finished season 1. It's really interesting watching like the interaction. Like there's a lot more Frank in season 1 than there really is in later seasons. Where in later seasons, there's Frank is hanging out with Toofer and Lutz more than he really does with Liz and Pete. And Toofer becomes the main character starting with season 2, and then Lutz with season 4, I believe. Which
is really interesting because there is that Toofer focus episode in season 1 where he is doing that race relations thing with Tracy Jordan, same person. But yeah, it's really interesting because you see that random focus episode for specifically Toofer and Tracy.
Yeah.
And then Twofer just sort of becomes another writer with Frank and with Lutz, and they just sort of become this one entity where you've got these three people playing off of each other, but they're basically always together.
Yeah, and then also like there's the Pete and Twofer and I think Frank are the pranksters.
Yeah.
And those three become this unit because obviously you're gonna have Twofer and Frank stories. Twofer and Tracy stories only can fit because they're both black and different sort of looks at black characters in media. But
that's exactly what they did with that Focus episode.
And that's what they did with those. Exactly. Yeah. But Twofer and Frank it's obviously those characters are writers. They're going to be holed up in a room together a lot, and so obviously it makes a lot of sense to have those characters be interacting a lot more than Twofer and Tracy, because Tracy is a performer. So by the end of the show, really, if you're getting a plot line, it's probably going to be like Tracy and Jenna doing something, and Twofer and Lutz and Frank doing something, and Pete's probably in there, and like Grizz.com are probably mixed in with the Tracy stuff, and same with Kenneth, and then there's a Jack and Liz thing, which and it's really interesting because there's a lot of main characters, but anyways, I don't want to.
At the same time, it's sort of disappointing because you lose. There was never really a lot of focus on what's his name, Lonnie Ross's character.
Josh Gerard.
Josh Gerard, yes.
Yeah.
So there's never really a lot of focus on Josh, and they could have easily done this guy who's got a foot in the writer world, but also a foot in the performer world.
Yeah.
They could have done a lot with that, and then he just sort of fell off the show and got replaced by another guy who fell off the show.
Well, especially because it's funny too because Lonnie Ross was made main cast for seasons 2 and 3, I believe. Cheyenne Jackson, who played Danny Baker, never got main cast. He was always guest star.
Yeah.
But going back to that they really could have done a lot of interesting stuff with that, especially because like Jenna was never threatened by Josh as like she was by Tracy, who was an actual movie star. Josh was sort of, she got along with Josh more so just because she didn't see him as a equal, but as a lesser than. So yeah, it was and there were some Josh focused episodes early on, but yeah, just at some point they you barely saw any of Josh and they wrote him off, and then they wrote Danny into the show, and then like at some point they're like, oh crap, we forgot Danny's even in this show. I feel like. And then also, like, he was doing other work, but I feel like a lot of it was like, oh, yeah, that's right, we have this guy.
No, definitely. Like, you had that Josh Focus episode where he's interacting with Tracy, and they're not getting along because Josh is doing impressions, because that's, like, the only character trait he has. And he's doing impressions of Tracy, and Tracy doesn't like that. And then with...
well, no, there's an episode in season 1 where there's Josh has contract negotiations.
Yeah, that one too, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
it's like, why do you need to talk to my agent before I talk to you guys? Because he's going to negotiate for me.
Yeah.
And then Danny, they just forget Danny exists when he's not actively there.
Rick Foster says Josh was kind of a throwaway character, and I totally agree. Josh definitely, like, and they threw him away. Like, but the thing is, like, he wasn't really a throwaway character in the beginning because he was supposed to be Jimmy Fallon. And obviously, it's not like Tina Fey hated Jimmy Fallon. It's like she wanted to throw him away. It's just, and they could have done a lot of interesting stuff with him. They just didn't. I think they just realized they have all these other characters like Twofer, like Lutz, like Suri, like Grizz.com that they wanted to do more with. And I think Lonnie Ross also probably just, this ensemble cast had a lot more dynamic personality than the Josh character did. And Neshcom is reminding us that Rachel Dratch was supposed to be. He said Liz Lemon, but he meant Jenna, obviously, and then she ended up with a bunch of bit parts.
In and says,
"Yeah." With in season 1, she had a bunch of bit parts, and then just was gone again until like the 100th episode or something like that.
100th live shows, I think.
Yeah, whichever happened first was the next episode she appeared in. Just because, like, yeah, it just didn't work out, and I mean, it would have been cool to see her in like bit parts in every episode. Like that was neat. I liked that. But like, it would have been nice to give her a character, especially because there are honestly very few female characters sort of regularly showing up in that show that aren't like
Liz and Jenna and Hazel and Suri.
That aren't like Jack's lovers, because you have like Avery and Salma Hayek's character. I forgot.
Condoleezza Rice.
Julianne Moore's character, whose name I also forgot. but like you know you really could have had Rachel Dratch even be like a female writer, you know, like because you have Sue, but you could have had Rachel Dratch be like another female writer instead of Sue or alongside Sue, and had sort of some interesting stuff going on there. I don't know. I mean, there must have been some behind the scenes stuff too, but
They've had Paula, what's her name, as just a general writer. One of the longest serving SNL writers.
well, yeah, but she also played
Paula.
Pete's wife Paula, so that wouldn't work. But let's move on from 30 Rock. We watched a lot of 30 Rock. I watched all of 30 Rock again, and I agree, Rick. I don't know if the show has a lot of replayability. I hadn't watched like the whole thing, like when it was airing. You know, like I watched like the last 3 seasons as they were airing, but like the beginning I didn't really. And I totally agree. Like, well, I mean, it might be because I'm so close to, like, not very far removed from rewatching it. But once I finished season 1, I did not want to rewatch any of the episodes I had already watched. Except for like I watched the West Coast feeds of the live shows because they're a little bit different and they weren't on Netflix.
It's the joy of live TV, like this, live podcasting.
Yes, audiences love it when something goes wrong. That didn't work very well at all. Also is a video gag for what is ostensibly an audio podcast. Let me touch real quick on Parks and Rec. Brandon said Louis never felt like a lead on Parks to me. I don't know if that was a joke, but I was talking about Mark Brendanowicz, who was there for 2 full seasons and then just left and has not been mentioned again. I don't think, or at least has barely been mentioned again. Was replaced by my hero Ben Wyatt and Chris Traeger, played by Adam Scott and Rob Lowe, respectively. But I had a lot of fun watching Parks and Rec too. It's just, yeah, I mean, it's a really good show and I like it. And I did not like. That's the thing. I had watched the first season like a month or 2 ago, or maybe 3 months ago. I don't know. And then I just basically skipped to the last 2 episodes of the second season when Ben and Chris are introduced because it's just season 2 is just like
season
it's just
2 is just this weird in between show because it feels like the weird it's building on that 6-episode arc of the first season, and you're getting to, okay, the government's going to like need to get stripped of everything, but it doesn't have Adam Scott and Rob Lowe, so it doesn't really feel like the other seasons yet, and it's sort of awkward.
And those two just like they feel like part of the
They're
show.
Just part of the thing.
Especially Adam Scott is just such a part of the show's DNA for me. And like, you know, Adam Scott being in Parks and Rec is the reason that I even watched the first season or like the first half of the season of Party Down and just never got around to finishing it because it got off Netflix and I just haven't gotten around to finding another legal way to watch it.
It's on Hulu.
Is it?
I watched Party Down. Yeah.
Oh, well then I should probably watch it.
I watched
before
like
my
all of
Hulu
Party Down on Hulu.
ends. But yeah, it's and especially because I identify greatly with Ben Wyatt and the Adam Scott character. And I agree, Rick Foster. I definitely can and will rewatch Parks and Rec episodes just because, yeah, it is definitely a different feel to the show. And
right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't really know what to say. It is definitely just a more rewatchable show. Like you can just throw on episodes of Parks and Rec and watch them. I still don't know if I'm going to go back and watch season 2. Like, I went back and finished season 1 of 30 Rock. I don't know if I'm going to go back and watch season 2 of Parks and Rec, unless I'm just like, let me do this. Because really, what I was originally doing was I was just throwing on TV shows to fall asleep, and then watching them until I fell asleep, and then going back and continuing from where I remember falling asleep at. But Parks and Rec is an immaculate show. And then we've both been reading comic books. I haven't actually been reading a ton. I am still not caught up with Spider-Verse. I lost some time, so I don't really want to talk about comics very much right now. So I don't spoil myself.
The only real big thing is like I got Immortal Iron Fist for myself for Christmas. It says Complete Collection Volume 1. There are 2 volumes, but Matt Fraction, man.
Yeah, Volume 2 barely counts. Like
he only wrote the first bit of that, so I just got the first bit of that, and then I also got the Marvel Masterworks Ms. Marvel because I went to learn the early history of one of my favorite comic characters. So yeah, comics.
Oh, I watched a couple of horror movies too, but I watched Dreamhouse the other night and with Daniel Craig. And man, I wish I'd live tweeted that experience, but we were all just sitting around in a room, and like that movie feels like 4 different scripts cobbled together and not very well.
It probably was.
Yeah, probably it probably was. But we had fun watching Dreamhouse. But that's enough for the media we've been consuming. Let's talk about the concept of media that we're trying to talk about today, which is the internet as a content creation platform. I would love for the chat room to chime in as we're talking about this stuff.
Because it's perfect. It's directly interfacing with the audience through the internet.
It definitely is. So let's talk about live streaming first, because this is in my show rundown. Let's talk about live streaming as a content creation platform really is something that didn't exist prior to the internet. It's something that the internet really has created as a completely new expression of media. You know, there's been live TV and stuff like
Sure,
that.
like
you know,
there's been like charity things on
right.
local access.
Sure, yeah. You have PBS charity streams and not streams, but yeah, PBS charity drives and all that kind of stuff that is live and obviously like live television, like SNL and stuff like that. And even with just with Twitter audience interaction on television, that's obviously something that's completely different. But with a live stream, such as this one on DiamondClub.tv, or Twitch, you are able to create content for people, and then those people in real time or with a minute of lag can respond back to you and let you know what they think of what you're talking about, and they can explain what's or add to the conversation,
or even observe. For example, Sal says you're live.
they can hashtag join the conversation and just let you know what and if for example, it's the kind of thing where the chat room can call you on your BS. If I say something wrong, then in 60 to 90 seconds, I will see a response in this chat room saying, "Oh, actually, it's this," or as they're talking to each other, as Neshcom is talking about how Rachel Dratch's supposed to be Liz, and then Rick is able to respond to him to tell him, "Oh no, you mean Jenna? Oh yeah, that's right, that's what I meant."
Yeah.
Jesse,
protect each other as well as the hosts.
Exactly, yeah. Jesse says art live streams are her favorite live streams to watch, and those are fun too, because sometimes you can even just like throw on an art live stream, listen to music, and just do nothing, or if it's on a service that you can use something or plug it in, plug your computer into your TV, throw the art live stream on the TV, play a video game on your computer, listen to your music, consume really 3 different contents of media at once that you couldn't do prior to the internet.
And it's really cool because you're looking at the creation of a new entity of old form of media through new media. It's like Inception or something.
Yeah. It is. It's just really cool the way that you can you can reach people now that you couldn't. If it was 10 years ago, we wouldn't be able to be doing this live podcast. We wouldn't be able to. Well, 10 years ago, we would probably have been able to doing a podcast. Podcasting was invented about 10 years ago, but approximately 15 years ago, I couldn't just get this audio equipment, record myself, and put it. I mean, I could put it online, but hosting fees and web hosting.
To do something comparable, we'd have to be employees of a radio station, and we would have to patch somebody in through like 5 different phone switch boxes, and it would just be a massive mess, and we'd get an even greater lag than what we have already. So
yeah. Exactly. And yeah, exactly. If we wanted to have audience interaction, we'd have to open up the phone lines and have somebody call in, which we could do here if we weren't recording this in such a way that makes that more difficult than it's worth. it would be really interesting to that we'd have to do something like that instead of just I can look down and see that Neshcom is angry at me for calling him out on the show twice. Sorry, Neshcom, I love you and your remixes are great. I haven't listened to any of your original music. Actually, I might have. I don't remember. I'll get back to you on that. But moving on a little bit, like this sort of moves into podcasting as a whole, and with podcasting, with the advent of how we started as just a podcast, or honestly, like that's how we met. Was you were a fan of my podcast?
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, do you want to write episode summaries for my website? And you said sure, and then I never got
those never happened.
Yeah. But instead we started the Rearview Mirror podcast up again, and now we're live on the internet, and that's just something that
sort of frightening.
It is sort of frightening. That is something that has been created by this sort of new media revolution, I guess you would call it, or whatever you want to call it. That I've been podcasting since 2007, since I was 13, 14 years old is when I started podcasting, and it's something I've been doing for a long time, and it's something I wouldn't, it's an expression that I wouldn't have been able to get out if I had been born 10 years earlier. I wouldn't have been able to, be 13 years old and get voice my opinions about the first season of South Park on the internet, or be 14, 15 years old and talk to Ron Mars, one of the creator of Kyle Rayner, on a podcast. I would have to wait till I see him at a convention maybe and get maybe 2-3 minutes of his time while he's signing my book, or run into him. If I could go to a convention, at the time I was living in St. Louis. Actually, at the time I was visiting Australia, but at the time I was living in St. Louis, and there were no local conventions, so I wouldn't have been able to ever meet Ron Mars unless
until
until
I went to like San Diego.
Well, unless I went to San Diego, or until I moved to Chicago, and if he came to Chicago, or something like that, and a lot of cool people who are inspiring to me, I was able to meet because of podcasting. And
we talked to a Power Ranger.
We did.
That was amazing. We've actually both talked to several Power Rangers at this point, either through conventions or through podcasting, or through convincing people to talk to us at conventions because we have a podcast.
Yeah, exactly, and we've been able to sort of create a brand that I just like. I never would have started a Power Rangers fan site if I hadn't started the Power Rangers podcast first. Like my brother, when I was 7 or 8 years old, was creating a Dragon Ball Z fan site with one of his friends, and that never took off. But it was something that he was doing, and I never would have thought to do that for Power Rangers Super Sentai until I did the show. And it was 2 years into the show that I decided, let's try to do a website too, because I don't like all the other websites. But it's this new, within the last decade of internet as a medium, something like, because obviously the internet's been around for longer than the last 10 years, but 10 years ago is pretty significant, because that's when podcasting sort of became a thing, period. That's when YouTube sort of became a thing, period. I think that's around the time that Stick'em live stream stuff started happening. I think Netflix was probably around that time as well. Not as a streaming service
like
at
the mailing
time.
DVD service.
The DVD mailing service, yes. What was to become Quickster began around that time, and then was not. But it's really created sort of a new genre and a new generation of media creators and media consumers. That's just really interesting to see. Let's talk real quick. So I brought up YouTube. Let's talk about YouTube, which honestly might even be able to. It might end up being half of the show. But let's do it.
We're on it right now.
We're on it right now. We are on YouTube. Yes, we are live on Google Hangouts on the air, which is through YouTube. And I, for one, am glad to be with my YouTube overlords. But So YouTube has a lot of different content on there. Obviously, you have short, like viral videos, where of just like you have the sort of America's Funniest type stuff, where you go to YouTube now to.
It's like a 45 to 5 minute. It's like a 45-second to 5 minute clip, and it's just something funny. It's just like a guy falling out of a trampoline, or
usually
chicken riding a snowboard.
Usually somebody hurting themselves or an animal doing something funny.
Yeah.
And that's probably why America's Funniest Home Videos isn't a show anymore, because YouTube pretty much overtook it as a thing.
But aren't there shows that do the same sort of thing with YouTube?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I think Tom Bergeron just decided not to get with the times. But YouTube, I have found, sort of gets split into pretty much 4 categories, and if somebody in the chat thinks there's more than the 4 that I'm going to say right now, feel free to let me know. But I feel like the 4, well, I guess 5 really, is tutorials, like something like Scam School, as a super polished something, or just something online that's, hey, this is how to, like, or film ride sometimes, or video code.
Earlier today, I was having trouble exporting something on Audacity, and Kuhan made a video and sent it to me to show me exactly what he wanted me to do.
Yeah, pretty much. I just did a screen recording of what I needed to do. Sent it over to Joe. I actually that's actually one of my most viewed videos on YouTube is me explaining how to get show notes on your first generation iPhone with first generation iPhone OS on your podcasts.
Wow.
When I was like 13. So if you find that video, which isn't hard to find, it's on my YouTube, youtube.com/ssjkuhan, you can hear me sounding like a 8-year-old girl explaining, this is how you get show notes on your iPod. Just change the lyrics and then, so.
Is that even still relevant?
No, it's not, because show notes just show up on your iPhone now. This was a problem for like iOS 1 and iOS 2 that they fixed because it was a stupid problem that shouldn't have existed in the first place.
That is amazing.
But as I was saying, what was I saying? So I said
so tutorials,
vlogs, which I don't have to explain. I feel like that is a lot of what you see on YouTube is vlog or vlog-esque content.
Can we get Nick Applebaum on the air? Is that a thing we can do?
We'll get him for the next segment. But vlogs being sort of just kind of like a podcast. I'm sure you know what a vlog is, but kind of like just somebody talking to the screen, somebody talking to the camera, talking directly to the audience, or talking to somebody, talking to a co-host possibly on their vlog, and then putting it out. I consider both of those.
Focus on a variety of different things. For example, like Amy Dallin does Talking Comics, where she talks about comics.
Right.
Holland Farkas talks about film. Felicia Day has the vlog where it's like her doing things like meeting koalas. I'm not exactly sure what the vlog is. Will Wheaton has Not the Flog, which is not the vlog.
Hold on, Nick. What is the flog? Okay. But Nick, of course, being Nick Applebaum, our good friend and associate producer, something at Geek and Sundry. He works there. But anyway, yeah. So I feel like something like Nerdist News. Or one of those news programs of somebody talking directly to the camera to tell you the news, or some of those top 10 lists. Those are basically vlogs.
They're just a little more directed, and they have specific sorts of information they want to disseminate.
Right. Which, I mean, for most vlogs, a lot of the time, like, they'll either do 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 takes, and by the 5th or 6th take, they will be like, oh, this is what I need to say. Or at least that's how I did it when I did a vlog. And they'll probably have like a basic script, like, okay, this is what I want to talk about, and obviously they'll probably go off a little bit, but for the most part, I'd say anything with somebody talking directly to the audience is a vlog. This could even be considered a vlog if it was more of a regular YouTube occurrence. The other ones we have are scripted content, and scripted content I would include that with like review stuff. So like that guy with the glasses type content, as well as
Spooked, Caper,
Spooked Caper, My Music from the
Chad
Fine
Vader?
Brothers. Yeah, sure, Chad Vader. Fred, I guess, would count as scripted content when that was still a thing. And then again, yeah, within that review content, so Half in the Bag, any of the Red Letter Media stuff, all of that got the glasses stuff, and then reality, so like game show stuff, like if I think there's a game show on YouTube.
Yeah.
There's a show called Off the Top Improv, which is just an improv show. It's like like Whose Lines It Anyway, except made for YouTube, broadcasted live on YouTube.
Yeah.
Stuff like tabletop, stuff like Kids React. That is, hey, here is something that's happening. This is reality. It's not scripted content. It's not. It is random. You don't know what's going to happen until it happens. Even the producers don't know what's going to happen until it happens. They have an idea of what might happen, but they don't know. Will Wheaton doesn't know what's going to happen on a certain episode of Tabletop necessarily. He doesn't know who's going to win. He just knows what board game they're going to play.
Yeah.
And then the last one is Let's Plays on YouTube, and we had a response from Rick Foster. Neshcom a minute ago was saying, bro, YouTube is great between OMG Chad, Game Grumps, tons of other junk. That's like 50% of my consumption today. And OMG Chad, Game Grumps, both of those guys, Let's Players. OMG Chad also does some vlog-esque content with OMG Craft. I don't know what exactly OMG Craft is, actually. I don't know what you consider it.
I have no idea what OMG Craft is.
I don't play Minecraft, so I don't watch OMG Craft. But I definitely support Chad. He's great and awesome.
We found Slashfic of him one time.
We did. But that's another sort of. So you have all these different forms of content in YouTube, and Rick Foster also said that YouTube is something like 80 to 90% of his daily consumption,
And that's totally reasonable. I totally believe that.
Yeah, I before we started recording, before we started trying to record, I was watching clips of Conan. I was watching clips of Seth Meyers. I haven't watched either of those shows in their entirety in like a year, but I was watching clips of oh he's interviewing Anna Kendrick, or oh hey he's interviewing A.D. Bryant. Let me watch this interview. I was watching clips. I was watching like 4 different clips of Shia LaBeouf on Ellen. Just because it's like, oh, Shia LaBeouf did that weird thing last year, and this is him talking about it. That's cool. I watched like 8 or 9 different Cracked videos. Last night I watched like 7 episodes of Cracked After Hours that I'd already seen and knew what they were gonna do, and just watched them again. And it's just like, it's like TV. It's like, oh, this episode. Oh yeah, let me just click on that. Or it's like, oh, NBC. Oh yeah, 30 Rock's on, or oh, it's WGN at 11 p.m. They're going to be airing 30 Rock and How I Met Your Mother and whatever other sitcom is on their docket at the time.
Sure, or if you have if you want to watch like a back episode, you can pay money for certain shows to watch back episodes of certain shows, like the West Coast live shows.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And so just like the fact that on YouTube, scripted content really isn't a big part of YouTube as much as scripted content creators want it to be. I know like stuff like Spooked and Caper and even My Music didn't do as well for YouTube as really I think they wanted it to do. And by that I mean the producers of the show. And like I know like YouTube I don't think really wanted that as much as they said they did. So it was interesting. Gadawag says, "Let's be real, Shy and never stop doing weird things." That's right, and that's why he's going to appear on this Monday's episode of Weird Things, available on DiamondClub.tv, alongside Andrew Main and Brian Brushwood and Justin Robert Young. He's got a Justin Robert Young beard going on, so. But back to what I was saying with YouTube, it's really like there's a generation of kids now who don't even watch a lot of TV. There's watching Minecraft Let's
Yeah.
Plays,
But,
and
like I have like an
and-
8-year-old cousin, and whenever he comes to my house, there are certain things he asks. He's like, can I have your phone and can I watch YouTube on it?
yeah.
And then he usually just pulls up a random Minecraft Let's Player and he watches that for the next 3 hours when he's supposed to be hanging out with me.
Yeah, last time I was in Australia with my second cousins who are like, on the low end I think 7 and on the high end like 13. There's 4 of them, and like they would just, I think I said on 5, whatever. They would gather around the computer and just watch Minecraft Let's Plays. Like they'd just sitting there, like they'd be like, oh yeah, PewDiePie, let's put on PewDiePie. I think he plays Minecraft, sounds right. I don't know. Let's put on, oh yeah, Tobuscus, let's watch Tobuscus play Minecraft. And
Grimhelm, let's watch Grimhelm play Minecraft.
Oh man, I wish I knew that was a thing, and I hope it was and it was a thing then, because I totally would have been like, oh, let me show you this Minecrafter, guys. Grimhelm, by the way,
I've specifically done that.
Grimhelm, by the way, who I almost met on that trip, he just was too busy to meet me when I was in London. But I almost got a chance to hang out with Grimhelm in person. But Grimhelm, of course, being our friend Anthony Bishop, who also works on SentaiRancher.com with us.
Very, very British.
And so the fact there's all this content on YouTube, Let's Plays are huge. For one thing, I don't watch any Let's Plays. I mean, very occasionally I'll watch like a Let's Play here and there, but like I barely watch any Let's Plays. But
I watch Twitch plays Pokemon.
I did when they were playing Red, and maybe Gold, or Silver, whichever one they played. I stopped watching after Gen 2.
I have their secret base on my game.
That's cool. But the sort of different. I mean, all this other content on YouTube. Besides the fact that Let's Plays are so huge for them, the fact that first of all, like I can find content that aired on television will be on YouTube. Like if I don't have HBO, I can still watch a lot of John Oliver clips. Last Week Tonight with John Oliver clips on YouTube. I can watch. There was another thing I wanted to say. Oh, I can watch pretty much like Too Many Cooks, which aired on Adult Swim originally. Watch the whole thing.
All of Too Many Cooks
watch all 11 minutes of it on YouTube.
Too many cooks. Too many cooks.
And it's a creation platform that's, I mean, like I was talking about Fred a minute ago. Fred, who started on YouTube as basically a scripted show, and then
became a Nickelodeon show.
Nickelodeon, at least on movie, yeah, and Justin Bieber started on YouTube, and as just sort of a content creation platform, it's so open.
I mean,
and so,
Friday spread through YouTube.
Yeah. It's just so open and so easy to join and to interact with people on YouTube that's become sort of. I mean, it's so ingrained in life now.
Jesse in chat says, when hanging out with friends, watching random YouTube videos is a common activity. It totally is. Like I was on New Year's Eve when I was with my cousin. We were just we mentioned that earlier, like the AFV style. Okay, here's somebody getting hurt. We just watched that and watched people falling out of parachute, falling out of planes and stuff.
Yeah, 2 or 3 days ago, I had a couple friends over, not including Jesse because she was too busy doing other stuff. But they brought Zach Brinkley, who was on Real Good Daily,
brought the Christmas special.
And the Christmas special, brought his Wii U, and the first 3 hours that they were here, we were watching YouTube videos, and then we went to eat, and then came back and played Smash Brothers. But for 3 straight hours, we were just watching YouTube videos. Some of them we were just complaining about. We were just like, "Why are we watching this? This is awful." But like we still watched through most of the videos, and I'm like, let me skip through this, see what because there's a top 10 list. And I figured out the problem was that there's no music under it. But it is a common activity that we will just sit around watching YouTube videos for a while, for hours on end, and I didn't even realize that it had been 3 hours until we were like, oh yeah, let's go eat. Oh, you guys got here at 7. It's 10:30. So it is it is sort of an interesting era as YouTube expands and
It's
I
an
mean
interesting little pocket of the internet.
yeah, and the barrier to entry is just so low on YouTube now. You know, obviously like for me, I have this problem where I cannot create content unless it's the highest quality I can possibly create at that moment, and that's why all my content is slow and late because I am too much of a perfectionist on it. But like
Basically, the reason we never released episodes of Podcast Anti-Power Rangers after we recorded them is because they would be in post for 3 months and they would no longer be relevant.
yeah, pretty much. It's part of the reason that we haven't gotten any of my video shows up and running yet either, because well, that and also scripting.
We need to get the scripts for that,
but like also like I want them to be tightly scripted, and that's important for me. Even though I could probably stand up and do stuff and then just edit it and fix it in editing, but it's the kind of thing that you know. But that's beside the point. The barrier to entry is just so low that, you know, for a vlog, if you're an interesting vlogger or learning to be an interesting vlogger, honestly, all you got to do is turn on your webcam on your computer, assuming you have a computer, which you know, not even on your computer.
a barrier to entry, but
It is a barrier to entry, but it's one that, you know,
it's one that's fairly ubiquitous these days, I would say.
Right. And even you don't even need a computer, you know. Tobuscus, Toby Turner, does all of his daily vlogs he does from his phone, and that's really all you need is if you have a smartphone, which you can pick up for, you know, $30-$40 at your local Best Buy. You can get a smartphone with a serviceable camera, hit record, and go. Or you can get
I was doing that for my personal stuff 2 years ago at San Diego Comic-Con. I was basically vlogging the entire experience to myself.
Yeah.
Where like I was standing in line and I would be like, okay, here's what I did on the floor, and right now I'm in line for the Geek and Sundry party, or right now I'm in line for this panel.
When I was doing the Movie Draft Weekly recap show and then doing like dailies of, hey, here's the daily rankings, which was the dailies were a dumb idea. The weekly show, I wish I hadn't stopped, and I might start again if Matthew Fraser, if you're listening and you want to edit my show again, hit me up on Twitter. But the daily show, when I was doing that, you know, there was one day that I was just like, yeah, I don't want to set up the camera, the crappy flip camera I had at the time, set up the camera on the green screen. I need to go work out, so let me just take my phone, point it at me, and be like, hey, it's the show outside. Or not, I think I even took the flip camera outside and pointed it at me and said, hey, here's the show outside, and showed a picture of the graphic and the music being played like in acoustic on my phone, and then put it away and like, here are the rankings. Okay, those are done, and then hit stop and upload that straight to the internet because I didn't want to do any editing. Like
barrier to entry. No barrier to entry.
No barrier to entry. Yeah, exactly. And
remember,
because there's no barrier to entry,
interneting, kids.
Because there's no barrier to entry, you do get some lower quality content, but also like you can get high quality content from nothing. You know,
from unexpected sources. Yeah.
Vine is a perfect example of that. You have people who, you know, need to do this content in 6 seconds, and some of it is absolutely phenomenal, and that's why I can't Vine, because I don't feel like I am good enough for Vine. But you have the guys like Thomas Sanders who do his, like, you know, go out and tell stories about these people who he sees on the streets, or people he knows, depending on who they are. But and it's just it's a cool thing. Or like, you know, I was watching a Vine compilation last night, and then stopped like 10 minutes in because it's an hour and a half long video. Yeah. But like just like one dude who just beatboxes, and puts it on Vine. He's like, here's like the beatbox I've been working on, and he's really good at beatboxing, and that's just like he has this talent. And, you know, his barrier to entry was probably YouTube. Like, you know, I could put it on YouTube, but like, you know, can I get a minute of content out of it? Does somebody want to watch a 30-second video on YouTube? But the fact that Vine limits you to 6 seconds allows him to.
I mean, 6 seconds of beatboxing is really, really interesting.
Right. Especially if it's a
really, really good beatboxing.
Yeah, which is what this guy is, and I wish I knew his name to tell everybody, but I'm sure you can. He's probably, if you look for best Vine beatbox, you'll probably find him. I just don't remember the guy's
And then,
name.
like earlier, chat was saying, oh, 50 to 60 to 80 to 90% of the content I consume daily is on YouTube. That's my sister with Vine. Like, when she gets home from school, if she's not doing homework, she is laying down on the couch watching Vines.
Yeah.
Smartphone in front of her, completely tuned out to everything around.
Right, yeah. And that's another interesting thing that I have listed as well is sort of cross-posting type thing, which is like with I had it to Twitch and YouTube, but it's the same with Vine and YouTube, where Twitch and YouTube are both places to see Let's Play type stuff, whereas Twitch you're watching it live, YouTube you're watching it recorded. But a lot of Let's Players can take the content they did on Twitch and either put it straight on YouTube or pare it down, to something like, here are the highlights of what was on my Twitch stream, and then put that on YouTube. And that's cool. And the same thing is with Vine. Like I said, there's a Vine compilation I was watching. You can take, if you take 10 Vines, that's a minute. And just put that minute of content. You put that minute of content on YouTube. If you take 100 Vines is 10 minutes. That's barely anything.
Yeah.
Considering you're getting 100 different little stories.
That's 100 stories in the course of 10 minutes. I mean,
it was hilarious actually, because again, like I said, when I was watching 30 Rock in the first season, Devin Banks, Will Arnett's character's first appearance, he talks about how he championed the 10-second sitcom and shows it on his phone, and it was actually pretty funny. Yeah. Considering obviously
here in this day and age, like,
and then you look now, and honestly, like that 10-second sitcom, if you take out the 3 seconds of opening theme they had on there, and just take that video, put it on Vine, that would have so many likes and views, because it was just like it was this deconstruction of the sitcom done in 10 seconds, like the 10-second film festival you can find on the Night Attack show sometime in the future, or the previous NSFW show or BB Live show.
Sunbun says, bruh, I think the advent of YouTube killed AFV / kept it alive at the same time. We totally agree. Totally agree.
Neshcom, I believe, was saying earlier that
AFV is still on the air. This season will be Bergeron's final season. But it might continue with a different host.
I would love to see AFV, continue under like a sort of YouTube star host, like get like a I don't know, a Jax Films or a Tobuscus or a Markiplier or whoever is this sort of bombastic personality from the internet, and have them just showing basically just showing internet videos, and it'll be, because really the videos you see on AFV at this point are like from 5 years ago in the backlog. That's why when you see the people there and it's the kid, like the kid's an infant in the video and he's like 6 when you see him. So I think it'd be really interesting to see a show like that on television. A show like what the Dig Reel was when it still existed, and I loved that show. Or basically Tosh.0 but less shitty.
That's exactly what I was thinking, actually. I was like, well, I'd say Daniel Tosh, but Tosh.0 wasn't good.
Yeah, right.
Because Tosh.0 is that basically AFV except with YouTube videos.
But it's
not good.
The other thing is there's more of him and less of videos.
Yeah.
Where if you just get all the videos, compile them, because AFV had a lot of montages of videos. Here are videos. Here is comedian Tom Bergeron commenting over those videos.
And here are videos to a theme. And here is Tom Bergeron commentating on those videos about the specific theme. Or here's him doing sports commentary over these videos.
Right. And that with somebody like a Toby Turner would. And he did the Cute Win Fail show on YouTube, and he doesn't do that anymore. But that show, like AFV, with somebody like a Toby Turner or somebody else on YouTube. I don't know all the YouTube stars off the top of my head, but somebody like that would be a really, really interesting way to do a show. And it's sort of like it's sort of like heir apparents to like how Stephen Colbert's taking over Letterman. And how Jimmy Fallon took over the Tonight Show. Like, these are guys who know that the internet is where people are going to be consuming. Like, people are going to check out my sketch online tomorrow. And that's why all the best sketches and stuff like that that are on Jimmy Fallon, or the best like little content stuff on Jimmy Fallon is on YouTube the next day. And like even Saturday Night Live, all the best sketches from Saturday Night Live are usually going to be on YouTube the next day or within the next week, because you want to pass those around, and you don't want to, especially because of how much of the Saturday Night Live is going to be weaker content. You don't know what you do or don't want to pass around, but like if this sketch was great, I want to show just this sketch, and that is what the era is. What like this YouTube video is great, I want to show this YouTube video. Oh, this SNL sketch is great, I just want to show this SNL sketch. And it's how the regular media, the TV media has sort of joined the
age.
The old media is sort of joining new media, and you can see that because the guys on the shows are getting younger and realizing like, this is how stuff needs to happen. And
there's also some shows that could very well be network shows. They're produced very similarly to network shows. They just happen to be on the internet. Like earlier we were talking about like Spooked. It has people who are on TV all the time, and it has writers from television. It's just it was released through YouTube, and you can watch it on Hulu.
And I don't know if that would be a network show specifically, but like something like what I was talking about, Kids React earlier.
Yeah.
That show aired on Nickelodeon. They turned that into a Nick show, and I think Tabletop. I think they were maybe working on a TV deal for that. Nerdist Bowling. That is going to air on AMC eventually. First of all, Chris Hardwick is basically just doing podcasts on TV, and that again, like and that is the next step. It's these guys who, Chris Hardwick is a guy who hosted on television before, in the 90s, and obviously then always got TV hosting experience, and then he did the podcasting stuff, and then he got back on TV. But the next step is
now he's just sort of melding those two.
Right. But the next step really is these guys who started online, have really only done stuff online, and then they're just gonna go to television. Scott Aukerman, wrote for TV and stuff like that, wrote for movies, but like Comedy Bang Bang,
Comedy Bang Bang is based on the podcast.
Yeah, the TV show is based on the podcast. So it's this thing where old media, where new media sort of infiltrating old media, I guess is the way you could say it. But it's sort of an interesting look at how content creation has just become more of a social experience.
More of an open door?
Exactly, yeah, more of an open door, yeah. And yeah, like the next thing that's gonna happen is one of these guys who is only a few years older than us. The Markiplier's 25, Jax Films is like 26, 25, Tobuscus is like 27 years old. These guys who started their careers on the internet, didn't start the career in traditional media, but started on the internet and will move over to the traditional media, like a Brian Brushwood, for example. And he's going to he's going to be starring on Hacking the System on January 19th, which may or may not be before this episode is available for
But for all of you on chat, catch Hacking the System next week
on National Geographic. But yeah, Brian Brushwood is one of those guys who he did his magic career. He had guest spot on Leno, whatever, but he got to this point to be on television from doing Scam School and developing a persona on NSFW Night Attack, and like this is the next wave, is going to be these people, and Brian doesn't have complete control or really any control of Hacking the System, I'm sure, and so whatever is aired online isn't going to be up to him, but that's like the next wave is these guys having at least better control or more control over their own content that airs on television, especially because like these YouTube people have developed themselves as a brand and as a business, and sort of are going to take I'm sure are going to take that and use that going forward, and it might even be on one of the streaming services, which I had written down, and we are we're hitting. We've been talking for a while. Like I said, we're going to talk about YouTube forever, and it ended up being pretty much the whole show. But I want to talk real quick about Hulu, Amazon, and Netflix. But first, I do want to mention that Rick Foster says All-Star Bowling won't air on AMC because they cut all reality programming except Comic Book Men and Talking Dead. It might air on a different network. I don't know what's going on with with All-Star Celebrity Bowling now. I will ask my contact at Legendary. But
Well, he's not. Oh yeah, he is.
yeah, yes. But as far as the streaming services, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on there where obviously Amazon, Netflix are creating a lot of original content in sort of a television model, but now moving maybe a little bit away from a television model as much. Like House of Cards is a show that could have aired on HBO. Netflix wants to be an HBO competitor.
Before I realized it wasn't, I was totally convinced it was.
Arrested Development wants to be. I mean, Arrested Development was on television before, and was a show that could have aired on Fox if they hadn't canceled it like idiots.
Sure, and that's happened with a couple of shows at this point. Like Community is moving to Yahoo Screen, and Star Wars: The Clone Wars moved to Netflix for that final season. And
did it?
And yeah, it moved to Netflix for the final season, I think.
I did not know that.
It has a Netflix original banner on it, so I'm assuming that's what they did.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then and they're going to be they're going to be producing.
Selfie was canceled by ABC, but Hulu kept carrying the rest of the episodes.
Right, which was going to be my next point. But let me cap this with they're going to be airing the Marvel shows, the Daredevil, the AKA Jessica Jones, the Luke Cage show, the Iron Fist show.
We talked about on Cinemarvelous.
Which we talked about on Cinemarvelous, which will be available soon for the live listeners. It is already available for the people listening on the podcast, I hope. But there you can find it at imkuhan.com/cinemarvelous. That's imkuhan.com/cinemarvelous. But like a show like BoJack Horseman is, I just can't picture that on any network. Maybe like an Adult Swim or Comedy Central, but it is. Netflix is sort of now doing like, we are gonna be our own brand, like they have comedy specials like what Comedy Central and HBO has done, but they're now like
one of the greats.
Yeah, but now you're starting to see stuff on Netflix that you wouldn't see on another network. It's not like, oh, I could imagine another network having passed up on Orange is the New Black or on House of Cards or on Arrested Development or on Star Wars Clone Wars. Or on Turbo Fast, but like you're starting to see content on Netflix that is going to be stuff that's like, oh, I would not imagine that on any network. Like that's
Didn't
a Netflix.
You have that show that Chipotle made?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure that was the thing. I think like Chipotle made a TV show about cows that were exploding and corruption in like family farmers, and then it was on Hulu.
Neshcom says same.
Remember.
Neshcom says same with The Killing, I think. I don't know about The Killing and whether or not that was saved by Netflix. But Amazon again is sort of just like the Showtime and Netflix's HBO. They're doing similar stuff in a similar style, and in a year or two they're probably going to be matching Netflix as far as content goes, which is faster than Showtime matched HBO, faster than Netflix matched HBO. And just another example, I think, of how fast content is moving. And that's a prediction that I'm making that could be completely wrong. But with Transparent and other stuff that Amazon can now produce because of Transparent, Transparent sort of is Amazon's House of Cards or Arrested Development or Orange is the New Black, whatever.
Rick Foster confirms yes, The Killing was saved by Netflix.
Thank you, Rick Foster. But it opens up all these doors for Amazon to become a quick enough competitor.
Neshcom confirms that Chipotle made and paid for a Hulu show.
But let's talk about Hulu. Hulu is doing it very differently, honestly. I feel like you said, Chipotle made and paid for a Hulu show. There's the show Quick Draw, which is like a long form improv show where like only the sheriff knows what's going on or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was. They talked about it a couple times on Cord Killers, I believe, and I watched a couple episodes of it, and it's really, really funny. But that's a show that you would not see on any network anywhere. I could not imagine that show on a network. The show, like Seth Meyers' show, The Awesomes.
I couldn't imagine Chipotle putting anything on television.
Oh, I could. Taco Bell puts so much stuff on television. Why not Chipotle? But like Spooked, like we were talking about earlier, and Tabletop. You know, Netflix and Amazon sort of restricting themselves to like, hey, this has, you know, we want this to be around the length of a television episode. Hulu will put stuff on there, like, it's not as strict, like, oh, if this isn't 22 to 24 minutes or 30 minutes or, you know, 44 to 47 minutes or an hour, then we're not going to put it on. Hulu will do a lot more experimental stuff, including burning off television shows. So for those of you who don't know what burning off is, basically what it is with TV. When a show would air and get canceled mid-run, they would usually, like on a Saturdays or on, like, you know, when another show got canceled, like on a death block, you know, like they'd move it to Friday nights and air 2 episodes at a time, or they'd air it again in the summer just to finish it off because they've paid for this content, produced this content, and they don't have anywhere to put it, and they're like, oh, well, we have this dead space here. Let me just put, you know, the remaining episodes of Sons of Tucson on Saturdays at 4 p.m. 2 episodes.
Because they still have the content. They made it. They paid for it, and they just need to get rid of it.
And you're going to get better ratings. You're going to get better ratings for a new show that nobody watched than you are for a rerun of I was going to say American Idol on Saturday, but you're probably not going to get more reruns. But anyways, but so you know, so over the summer, you know, Sons of Tucson started airing in September, aired 5 episodes, got canceled. They still had 7 episodes left, or 8 episodes left, and so in the summer, they're like, well, we're not producing a lot of new content. Let's just re-air these. Let's air these last 8 episodes of Sons of Tucson in the summer so we can put them out and have them. So now networks are starting to do that with Hulu, where Manhattan Love Story and Selfie, I think those are the only 2, but there might be others that I just don't know about off the top of my head, are shows that were airing on television. I believe they're both on ABC, or Manhattan Love Story might have been on NBC. But they were shows that were airing on television and then got canceled on television, and they're like, all right, we're just gonna keep releasing them week to week on Hulu. So
because like the episodes were made and they can still be put out, so just may as well put it on Hulu where somebody's going to watch them, because somebody on Hulu who's watching this is actively seeking that out.
Right.
Put it on there for them. It has an audience there.
Because again, they already made the show. They already produced the show. Might as well put it out.
And there is an audience on that website, so they may as well put it there for that audience who is going to watch it, as opposed to putting it on NBC for an audience who won't.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it would be really interesting to see, like, if that audience starts to be enough that they keep making the show, either continue to do it as a Hulu exclusive, which I doubt they do for a show like Selfie, because
so everyone sign my internet petition to get John, Joe, and Karen Gillan back on air. And then,
but like, if enough people watch Selfie on Hulu, they might be like, oh, well, maybe
we'll uncancel this show.
Maybe more people are watching the show than we realized. Maybe we'll uncancel the show, put it back on television. And I think that'll be the most interesting thing is when a show like that gets canceled, gets put on Hulu, and enough people watch it on Hulu for it to come back. Like what happened with Futurama DVD sales and Family Guy DVD sales, and you know, fans of Chuck buying a lot of Subway and sending in whatever they sent in. I don't remember what they sent in to get Chuck uncanceled, but stuff like that. And I think that
like Hulu has the potential to serve as a way to demonstrate that an audience exists for this particular product.
Yeah, or even like a show that airs on Hulu as a Hulu exclusive, and then they realize is like, oh, this, because Hulu has sort of this this uniqueness to it where it is co-owned by the major networks, and so the major networks are able to take a show off of Hulu possibly and put it on their network if that suits them at the time. I don't know if it ever would or whatever, but like, the Hulu original Deadbeat, which got a second season, which surprised me, was just an okay show, but it's the kind of show that like they might decide, oh, we like the show, let's up the production value, let's air it on ABC on Thursday nights, and so it goes from a Hulu show to a show that is aired on television, and that would be interesting to me. And then the last thing that I think would be cool is again, shows that are paid for and produced, pilots. You have a lot of pilots that never make it to air, that they just recorded the pilots, and Amazon did this with a bunch of shows last year, where they did or I think they did a couple times with their Amazon, like their pilot season, where they released a bunch of pilots that they had shot, and you would say which was the best one, and the best one gets made. It'd be really interesting if Hulu just like puts out these pilots, says, hey, here's a bunch of pilots that were shot. Again, they talked about this on the last episode.
Sort of to demonstrate that audience is there, and if that audience is there, then we can keep making this product for that audience.
Right, exactly. Yeah, they spoke about this on the last episode of Cord Killers as well, but it's just free market research, and it's the kind of thing that they could throw this pilot up on YouTube and be like,
research that your subjects are paying for.
Yeah, well, not necessarily. I mean, you can get Hulu for free. They're paying for it with advertising. But it's the kind of thing that there was a show a couple years ago called Rex is Not Your Lawyer, which starred David Tennant of Doctor Who fame, and none, only a scene of that pilot was ever released, and that's because it was on some actress's demo reel, and that made it online. But it's the kind of thing that they could have put, if they put it on Hulu. They did this market research. They and it didn't do well enough for them to go past, to go to a production order. But it's the kind of thing that if they could have put it on Hulu for free, and first of all, then people get to enjoy the pilot. It can end up being like this cult thing, and people like it, and or it's like, oh, this did really, really well on Hulu, maybe we will go to series with it. And we didn't have to pay for this market research that might have been false. And I don't know how good the show was and if it would have made it to series if this had happened. But it would have been really, really interesting. They actually did something similar with a show called Nobody's Watching, which was produced by Bill Lawrence and starred Taron Killam of Saturday Night Live fame now. And that show was made in 2005, 2006, something like that. 2007 maybe. No, definitely 2006. Yeah, and it's a show that it was a pilot. The pilot was made for WB or NBC or something like that. Pilot never got picked up, and so they just took the pilot, cut it into 3 parts, and put it up on YouTube. And I've watched that pilot 4 times, and I tell people to watch that pilot all the time because I still make references to that pilot, that failed pilot for a really honestly pretty mediocre TV show. But
yeah, but you're also obsessed with failed television shows, so
I really am. Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, available now for purchase on Amazon because it's not on Netflix anymore or Amazon Prime Instant anymore. But yeah, it's the kind of thing that and that gained actually a lot of traction on YouTube and almost made it to series because of the YouTube following of it. And this was in 2006 when YouTube was nothing.
So it demonstrated that it did have an audience.
It really did have an audience, and I feel like if the same show had tried to been produced 2 or 3 years later when YouTube was a much, much bigger market, that show might have made it to air, and we might be watching Nobody's Watching, at least a season of it, on TV instead of Cougar Town, which would be disappointing because Cougar Town was a good show. But Nobody's Watching is pretty fun too. So it's just really interesting, and that's something I'd love to see is sort of old media embracing the new media as hey,
media.
Yeah, that, but as hey, we're just gonna give you this stuff, and is it any good? And first of all, that can save them a lot of money, and then increase production values. But they won't increase production values because then they spend more money that they're saving. But whatever. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I think what you're trying to say is you can use new media to prove there is an audience for this potential idea. And it may not be the traditional old media audience, but an audience does exist, so you can still make a product for a particular group of people.
Well, like Jimmy Fallon is quite successful, and it's the kind of thing that isn't successful with a traditional old media audience. It's more successful with the
Getting
18
YouTube
to
hits.
well the 18 to 35s more than it is with the 50 pluses that Jay Leno was successful for. Like my dad has watched Leno when it was on, or Letterman. He'll watch Letterman now, and I'm sure he will move on to Colbert because he still likes Colbert. But with somebody like Jimmy Fallon, he hated Conan. He did not like Conan at all, and it's just the same thing where like as these shows move to a more youthful demo, and they realize that this, like, the internet is where it is. Like, I don't have a cable TV subscription. I cut the cord, so all of my even professional produced old media content I watch as sort of closer to new media content.
Yeah, I just realized all of the shows that I watch that are traditional old media, I'm watching like through Hulu. Like I caught up on Brooklyn Nine-Nine today. I caught up on Gallivant, and when I was watching those, I was watching them on Hulu.
Yeah, no, exactly. Brooklyn. Like, I don't watch any of those shows live. We don't have. If we had a DVR, I might DVR them and we'd watch them on the TV. But like, we have a computer hooked up to the TV. We have the Chromecast. I still have my 2-month trial of Hulu Plus for another month. So I'll just cast Hulu to the TV, or I'll cast Comedy Central to the TV, and we'll watch Daily Show that way, and we'll watch Colbert. Well, not anymore. We'll watch the nightly show. We'll watch At Midnight, just casting to the TV, or we'll watch YouTube, or we'll watch Netflix or Amazon Prime on the Google TV or on the Amazon Fire TV stick. Old media boo, new media woo. Woo. I think that's gonna do it for this edition of the Real View Mirror podcast.
Yeah, I think we've covered a lot of stuff.
I think we did.
I'd say.
I think this was a fairly successful live show.
Once it got running, yes. Once it got running.
I think once it got running, yes. We started 2 hours ago and did an hour and a half of content. So we started 2.5 hours ago, really, and did an hour and 20 minutes of content. So good for us, I guess. If you want to find the show, if you're watching live right now and don't know where to find this show and the recorded episodes, you can go to www.realviewmirror.com. That's REALVIEWMIRROR.com. You can follow us on Twitter at RVMirror or RVMirror@gmail. Is it RVMirror@gmail.com or RealViewMirror@gmail.com? I think it's realviewmirror@gmail.com.
Realviewmirror@gmail.com.
Realviewmirror@gmail.com is where you can email us. Follow us individually on Twitter. I am at Kuhan. Joe is at Professor Ware because Professor What was taken. So Professor Ware is how you can find Joe on Twitter. Individually on Tumblr, I'm Kuhan.me. Joe is ProfessorWhat.tumblr.com.
Like I am on chat right now.
Like he is on chat right now. You may know him as Professor What. As Chat Realm Award nominated Professor What. I think. Oh, we have the Real View Mirror Tumblr as well,
which is horribly decorated.
We should fix that. You can support our Patreon at patreon.com/realviewmirror. I didn't really talk much about Patreon like I wanted to, but it is really cool for creating the content that you see on YouTube. These YouTube stars only make so much from YouTube, and so by having Patreon,
this is a way to support those creators directly.
Exactly. And if you want to support us directly, that's patreon.com/realviewmirror. If you want to head out to our Patreon, if you check out our Twitter, by the time this episode is released, and we'll probably put it up with the show, I'll probably post the drawing Jesse did during our show, which I am loading up right now because again we are doing this live. So check out the site to see that, because it that's neat. That's me. If you're watching live, I am now holding up the photo that she drew, and it's pretty cool.
Thank you,
I like this art
Gatewag,
style.
for posting the Patreon link too, by the way.
Yes, thank you to Gatawag. Should have him on the show sometime. It's a cool dude. Doesn't afraid of anything. Uh, that I think
I think that does
is
it.
gonna do it for this edition of the Real Via Mirror podcast. So, we will catch you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Post show, yeah! After show. Woo!
Yes. Oh man, we got through that. That was an experience. Where did the chat go? Did I close the chat somehow? That's weird. I didn't think I closed the chat when I opened up this Twitter link. Jesse, I like this art style. It looks really neat. You should do more stuff in this style.
Gatewag is bookable, so.
Oh, I was in a different browser. That's weird. Oh, I was in browser instead of Chrome. That's weird. But okay.
Yeah, that's strange for you.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for putting us on DiamondClub.tv, Brant. I didn't expect that to happen tonight, so
Yeah.
thanks for
We were
that.
just sort of like, hey, let's do a live episode, and then.
we had at most 10 viewers, but or at least that's what it showed on my Hangouts on Air. But thanks for that. Hold on, I want to see. Oh god.
Ah,
Oh, I think the lag. Shit, hold on. Sorry about that. Joe, say something for me, please.
hi.
I think the lag died.
That's acceptable. That's acceptable.
Yeah. What? Well, that's. I mean, okay. That's fine, I guess. The lag went away during the show, but okay. I'm gonna
Yeah,
hang
I
up
mean,
on
like
here
that
now.
was the amount of lag that I was experiencing.
Yeah. No, this is perfectly cromulent what I'm experiencing now.
Because that's what I had. Because I was listening to it through this and through that at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that
that's...
was. I can't wait to hear that with OneCoo on instead too.
Yeah, that was ghetto as hell. Oh, the Age of Ultron trailer happened today.
Yeah, I watched it without sound while I was in class. Looks really good. I still don't know what's happening. I probably know less than I did before.
Tyler watched Chromecasting on the TV. That's cool. I would have done that if I were him as well. Neshcom live the awesome. Oh, live equals the awesome. Got it. That makes more sense. Yeah, we should do this more often.
Yeah.
Rick Foster, by the way, just pledged $25 to our Patreon. So thanks, Rick. You are our first pledge. We had no money before. I think this is the first pledge to a Patreon we have had besides the $3 we had to Sentai Rangers that then backed out like a week later.
Because we didn't release a podcast in that 3 weeks.
I don't think that's true. He backed out like 2 days later.
Yeah. So we didn't release a podcast in that window, so clearly we weren't worth it.
To the live audience, I wanna get some feedback. What did you guys like? What did you guys not like about the show?
What worked, what didn't work?
Yeah.
I know what didn't work was the peanut butter jar joke.
I didn't even hear it.
Yeah, because my microphone's over here, and I threw it over there.
Oh, what was the joke?
No, because you were like, yeah, live TV, that happens.
Oh,
it's when
got it. So
something
you're
goes
trying to do
wrong.
that.
And then we just sort of sit there for a moment, and I grabbed a peanut butter jar and I threw it across the room.
Yeah. Well, I slightly opened my door, which I think worked better. But it was like because when I was doing 8-Bit Life with Jose, we had Ghost Mike. So I probably should have just done that. Just do the Ghost Mike bit. But yeah, what did you basically wait?
What is WPR?
White people rich? Oh, because
Oh!
it's 25 cents. Got it. Jess says you should do monthly instead of weekly. We actually are supposed to be bi-weekly. So every other week is the plan, and we haven't necessarily hit that, but we're planning on doing,
Bi-weekly in November.
we're daily in November.
No, for payments.
No, we're weekly in November for payments.
We are?
Yes.
Okay.
And for otherwise, we are episodely.
I don't think it was relevant in November either way.
It
So-
wasn't. Yeah, but if we are still doing the show next November, and if people are patrons next November, we're going to be weekly for payments, even though we're doing daily content. Just because I don't want to have to charge people every day for the content, especially around that time of year. But otherwise, we release per episode. So we pay per episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rick Foster says, cap it at 60 minutes, you got yourselves a decent show. I agree.
Yeah.
We didn't go too far above 60. 77 is what we ended up doing. And
Yeah, I've got like an hour 20, and that's going to be trimmed down slightly.
yeah, I have an hour 17, and there's like a minute or two at the beginning that needs to get cut. I agree. There was a couple points I still wanted to hit at the end. Us talking about the media we consumed at the beginning, that is a...
That's a segment that we're trying to figure out exactly what to do with. We didn't do it last episode.
We didn't do it last episode. That's because we forgot. That's because I forgot. There was no real reason. It was just I forgot to do it.
Yeah.
Do you guys like that segment, or do you think there's something else we can do with that segment? Should we time that segment and be like 5 minutes? This is
Per
what we're going to talk
person.
about. Because that's the other thing is that's the other thing is because
that was like what, a 20-minute discussion on 30 Rock?
which wasn't bad.
It was a good discussion on 30 Rock, but it's not what the episode was about.
Right. And the other thing is we didn't I had these aren't precise show notes or anything, but I had show notes for the actual episode and like what topics I wanted to cover, but for the what we've been watching stuff, I didn't have anything for that. So all I knew was that we'd been watching 30 Rock and I'd been watching Parks and Rec, and then I'm like, I don't want to talk about anything else because, first of all, I don't want to bore people with, wait, what have I been watching? What's been going on? And also because, there's only so much that we could talk to each other about, and it's not as interesting if one person's saying, oh, here's what I watched. Oh, here's what I read.
Don't like the word content. Content is such a non-committal word. That's fair.
What do you mean? In what way?
Huh?
In
No,
what
that's-
way?
I'm talking.
Yeah, no, I know. I would like. In what way do you? In what way do you mean, Bryce? Because I sort of understand what you're saying, but did I say content a minute ago? Because I don't know what you mean. And now the brief pause as we wait for that.
Content is such a non-committal word. Media consuming segment. 20 minutes is good, but it was also because you guys had a live audience to bounce off of.
That's true.
Yeah.
I don't know if Rick, if you've listened back to episodes 1 or 2. I doubt you have, because why would you? So maybe if you want to check that out and let us know what you think about that. I don't think that's why it went long. I think it went long just because that is the discussion we would have had anyway. Maybe we'll do that as a separate show, sort of like Spoiler in Time. Like we'll say what we've been watching and then just talk about what we've been watching as
Maybe.
a separate show.
Okay.
Oh,
It's
real
all
quick-
right in broader discussions, but sometimes content is just filler speak for I want to do a little bit of a lot. It's not aimed at you. Okay, so it's just a general thing.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. So are you talking about us saying content? I'm not sure what specifically you're talking about. Like, are you talking about the fact that, because I said content a lot, because especially because like this episode we were talking about internet sort of, I mean primarily video but also audio content, and this is the easiest way to and even like art but less. We didn't talk about that at all.
Non sequitur.
I don't know. Is that what you're trying to say? Is because like and then the last episode we just talked about side, and then the other thing is because we're talking about broad like media as a whole. Media is also it's content we're using as a catch-all word. as a little bit of a lot, sort of. Because I mean, when we consume quote unquote media, we're watching TV, or we're watching movies, we're reading comics, we're reading books, and seeing the same tropes fall into all of those different forms of media. Ah, man, we didn't talk about audiobooks. We didn't talk about writing
Which is
books
funny,
online.
because this specific episode was it
Fan
this
fiction.
episode that started as an
It was this
audiobook
episode.
episode?
Yeah, it was this
This
episode.
episode on Real View Daily started as an ACX episode, which is like you record audiobooks for indie authors or something.
Which, by the way, I never ended up doing anything for. Oh, probably. I mean, yet.
It's just a content. It's okay. It's just a thing in general. Sure, that's fine.
Okay, I understand. No. I didn't think you were complaining at us. I just like. Okay,
Yeah, that's fine.
that's fine.
It just leads to a good discussion, you know.
Let me, real quick, while we're here, do the end for Cinemarvelous.
Oh yeah, and then just shoot it to me on Mega.
Excelsior! I'm Stan Lee. No, you're lying. What is it? Excelsior, true believers! I'm Stan Lee. You've been listening to Cinemarvelous.
So for Cinemarvelous, which is going to come out between now and the 19th, because we said something, I think,
Did we?
during this show, I think.
I said during this show, Cinemarvelous would be out before this show was out.
Yeah, but
And I said that
Cinemarvelous,
this show might.
yeah. Besides that end tag, it's fully edited. I just wanted to, for all the end tags, I want it to be the ending theme, and then Stan Lee, the character, saying whatever Kuhan just said.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wanna start to put in episodes like this has been, I don't know what to call the production house, like IamKuhan.com production, RealView Media production, like what do I don't know. What to call
Marvel
it.
lists.
It's not what that show is called, Rick, but we might have you on eventually. We'll see. If you guys have topic ideas for this show, let us know. Just like general.
We'll keep it in
news
mind,
stuff.
Rick. We'll keep it in mind. Guardians. There's a lot to talk about with Guardians.
There's quite a bit to talk about with Guardians.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll frame Guardians in a discussion if we're still doing the show in a year. We'll frame Guardians in a discussion with Star Wars 7.
No, man. We'll talk about like Guardians, and then we'll just watch the cartoons. Oh no! Like right before the Guardians cartoon comes out, we could do an episode on Guardians.
When's the Guardians cartoon coming out?
I don't know. Steve Wacker mentioned it was coming out soon. They released test footage at New York Comic Con, I think.
And then we're gonna do a movie draft on this show, probably in April, like with the regular summer, the Night Attack summer movie draft. So,
Yeah.
and that's the thing that Joe and I are interested in. We'll probably rope Nick in, and depending on Caleb and Zal's availability, but then we might need like a sixth. So we'll see. Jesse says video games. The thing is, Jesse, video games, like, we're talking everything video games. We actually probably should have talked about video games here too. It's just something that slipped our mind. But like, video games is just a form of media that we consume. So, like the tropes in video games, what happens in video games that you'd want us to talk about, what happens in TV, what happens in movies, what happens in books. I mean, there's probably something in like storytelling.
We could talk about like Mass Effect. You haven't played Mass Effect.
Right. I haven't played a lot of video games. I don't play a lot of
Yeah.
video games. I play.
We could
MLB
talk
The
about
Show.
we could talk about the storytelling behind MLB The Show.
Yeah. May 2017, Guardians 2. Yeah, Rick, that's when we're gonna do the episode on Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I think if we can find out when the Guardians cartoon comes out, that's probably going to be the best time to do that episode. Although we could definitely do another Guardians episode before Guardians 2.
Yeah,
Guardians
of course.
2, whose subtitle is a scratched-out subtitle with May 2017 scrawled on top of it.
And there's also there's nothing saying we have to do it when other stuff happens. The only thing that would help for is SEO. Like
Sure.
oh, the Guardians TV show's coming out. People are gonna be googling it a lot. Let's put out a Guardians episode now.
Well, I mean, like, this first episode of Cinemarvelous is also a Spider-Verse tie-in.
It's true. Right.
Because Spider-Verse is going on, guys.
But
Every
it's only-
single Spider-Man.
It's only a Spider-Verse tie-in because we really because I
Because the
wanted to
news
talk about
really
Spider-Man.
No, the news was really timely.
Yeah. Well, not even that, but like when the news wasn't timely, I was like, we need to talk about like when the news was only kind of timely. I'm like, we need to talk about like before the Sony hacks happened. No. It was after the Sony hacks before the interview.
Yeah.
In November, I was saying we need to do Spider-Man first episode, get the show done as soon as possible because
And
pretty
then the
soon.
interview happened.
Because no, actually, I think this is it's like shortly after the hacks, shortly before the hacks. No, it was shortly before the hacks because it was when we were like Sinister Six and stuff. I'm like, news is going to happen with Spider-Man soon. We need to figure this out. And then the hacks happen, and we're like, oh, like we really need to talk about Spider-Man because this shit is going down.
And then we also talked about Spider-Woman and Jessica Jones. I think it's going to be a fun episode.
Yeah. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I only watched like, the first 6 or 7 episodes, I think, of season 2.
I think it's... I really like it, but I feel like for other people it could be very hit or miss.
Yeah, I didn't dislike it. I just
Yeah.
fell behind.
It's the sort of show that I personally am really enjoying, but that's because I really like the Kree.
Well, the thing is,
And there's a
Um,
lot of Kree stuff going on.
I watch a lot of TV shows with my brother, and you know, it's. I don't think he'd be as interested. And then just watching, you know, when I watch alone, I've been watching 30 Rock and stuff, but I don't know how many of the episodes are on Hulu Plus, but I might just go back and watch whatever's on Hulu Plus.
Hulu Plus is all of season 2 that's aired, I think, and then Netflix
That's it?
is all of season 1.
Well, I watched all of season 1.
Because I'm pretty sure Hulu is updating as it airs.
Yeah, I know, but a lot of times even Hulu Plus will only have the last 5 episodes.
Yeah, that's what happened last season, and I got really upset about that.
Yeah, it's really frustrating because if I'm paying for the stupid service, at least give me the whole current season. Come on,
Yeah.
that's really frustrating.
Or like for Doctor Who, it still hasn't updated for the most recent series, which just wrapped. Yeah, I would agree that the first half of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 1 was missed, but that's the show still doesn't know what it is.
I don't think it was miss either. I think that first half was still like a lot of hit or miss stuff. It was a lot more miss than hit, but I think there was a lot of hit or miss in that.
Graviton episode, but I mean,
Yeah, I like the episode with the Freezy kid. Yeah, I mean, there were a few good episodes, you know, and like some of the early Mike Peterson stuff was pretty neat. But like the second half of the season really.
I think it's because like in the second half of season 1 they had, okay, now S.H.I.E.L.D. has fallen. This is Phil Coulson
Right.
picking up the pieces and rebuilding this organization.
Right,
and I feel like that's when it's like, okay, this is what the show is going to be about. It's going to be about S.H.I.E.L.D. coming back up from the ashes and trying to regain their credibility after Hydra.
Yeah, the train episode was really, really good, Rick. That was. So I can combine that in my head with the episode is that the same episode?
The Patton Oswalt one, or
No, not the Patton Oswalt one. The one with the other agents who had appeared in the movies and like Sitwell and the other guy got shot.
Hub?
No,
Or is
not
that-
with the hub. No, not with the hub. I forget. I forget exactly what it was.
But yeah, it's really interesting. I feel like there's a lot they could do with it, and I am looking forward to season 2 now that, or to second half of season 2 now that we have freaking Quake. Quake is cool, guys. Agent Carter is so fun. I'm tomorrow night. Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
I haven't watched Agent Carter yet either because I was gonna watch it with Shannon, and I don't know if she's watched it without me yet or not.
She probably has, but she is totally going to be willing to watch it again.
Yeah,
No.
but I just like obviously yeah, I don't think she has though. But like she'd be willing to watch it again. But like if she's already, I'd be fine watching it without her.
Yeah,
I just don't think she's already watched it, and I don't want to watch it without her.
sure. Yeah, it's a really fun show. I really like it so far. It's really an interesting sort of entity because before it started, I was sort of willing to count it as, okay, this is going to be part of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. narratively because it's supposed to bridge the two halves of the season, but it's definitely its own sort of animal. It's it's Peggy Carter just kicking ass, taking names, and she's all out of bubblegum. I think that's how the quote goes.
Let's see.
But yeah, there's a lot of really fun stuff in Agent Carter. I'm not going to say anything overtly specific because you want to watch it. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it's a fun show.
Hey Jesse, if you color this, I'll probably make my avatar in places because this is pretty cool. I like it a
I
lot.
really like that. Yeah, it's a really good drawing of Kuhan.
It's really, really good.
And yeah, Guardians, I feel like there were a lot of people who watched it because of Marvel Bandwagon, but I also think because it didn't really feel like, okay, this is a superhero film, guys, a lot of people were more willing to see it in theaters because it feels more like just a bouncy science fiction film than
Right. Yeah. It's not holding to any of the continuity. You know, nothing. None of the. You know, not like there had, and it's. Sorry, I did not finish a single sentence there. There's a lot of the other previous Marvel films had sort of hit to a point where, like, you know, all the stuff happened in a previous film, you had to know what happened there, or, you know, oh, Black Widow, you know, appears in Cap 2, and like
this is a continuing narrative.
Right, it's a character that had been introduced in other stuff. Whereas with Guardians, the only recurring, like the only character who had appeared before, besides like stuff in, like the only character who appeared before was the Collector and Thanos. And Thanos, you'd only seen like a second of, and the Collector you'd only seen in the Thor 2.
James Gunn film more than a Marvel film. Basically, it didn't really feel like a Marvel superhero film. It felt like something else. And because
St.
of
Louis
that,
native
Thanos
James Gunn, by the way.
Scott Bakula?
Jesse, if you what you could do is you could just scan it, put it in the computer, and then color it with Copic markers. If you don't like that, then just do it in Photoshop. You know, then you can have best of both worlds. But yeah, Rick, people were comparing it to like a modern Star Wars tale, which
I feel like the Star Trek films were our modern Star Wars tale.
which I don't think is necessarily like an incorrect thing. But yeah, it really is sort of like a Star Wars meets I don't know, like I'm trying to think of I don't know, like a, because like the pop culture reference laden stuff, and then with the other characters, yeah, I don't know what to say exactly, but it was
maybe Star Wars meets the Brat Pack.
No,
it didn't feel too much. Didn't
No,
feel
'cause-
enough like an '80s teen movie.
because the thing is, it did, but the thing is, like, it's referencing the '80s teen movies.
Yeah,
So like it's more like Star Wars meets, you know, like a Judd Apatow project.
yeah, that's pretty fair. Yeah,
Which you know, that's sort of the James Gunn aesthetic.
Yeah.
Star Wars meets Ernie Klein. Star Wars meets fanboys. Actually, it was Empire Strikes Back. And now I wait for the minute for people to laugh at my joke on the chat.
I mean, let's see. You've got the big hulking brown thing that only says things that one person understands. You've got the captain of the ship who's kind of an asshole, but not really.
Wait, is Rocket Han Solo?
But I feel like Peter Quill is too. Is everyone Han Solo except for Groot?
And Gamora.
So is Gamora Princess Leia?
I mean, kind of.
Well, she's the daughter of Thanos, who would be the Darth Vader of this.
Yeah, and she don't take no shit from no one,
Yeah.
like Princess Leia.
So like frickin'
She just didn't say a scruffy-looking nerf herder.
Guardians, like Star Wars. The first time I was like, I need the shit from this film. Action figures, shirts, TV. Yeah. There was a lot of merchandising coming out of that film, and
You know, I did not feel quite the same. Although I don't have as much Star Wars merch as I'd like. I was like I was a much bigger Star Wars fan as a kid, and I just never
I'll be
got
right back.
as much. Okay, I'll vamp. That's cool. I can fill. I never got as much Star Wars merch as I wish I had. I have like 1 or 2 Star Wars shirts, period, and like one of them is too small for me. It's like it's like an adult small because I got it when I was like in 8th grade.
Nova Core!
I
I don't think I don't think anyone's 100% a dick.
save this for your Guardians episode. You're gonna peak too early. You do we? This is what we do all the time. We just then
I mean, that's why we do shows.
pretty much. That's why we do this show the way we do this show, because otherwise I just talk about this with Joe and probably with other with maybe a couple other people, but yeah, probably just I'll talk about the Joe for like an hour over a chat. I was like, just record this. Jesse says Han Solo is always the answer. That was like a inside joke between us, a friend meme, if you will, where
It's going to catch on. It's going to catch on.
we would play. That's the first thing I thought before I said inside joke. I thought friend meme. When we played Star Wars Trivial Pursuit, at least 50% of the time we would guess Han Solo, and then 50% of that time we'd be right. And by we, I mean them. I would get the answer right, but they would just guess Han Solo most of the time, and they'd half the time be right.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I haven't.
when I was
only-
when I
Sorry.
Go ahead. When I was watching Guardians, I was like, oh, I want to read Abnett run Guardians of the Galaxy now. And then I read that, and then I was like, wow, now I want a Captain America shield backpack because Major Victory has it.
Yeah, I've only seen Guardians twice, once in the theater and once at a Christmas party.
Yeah, I mean, I've only seen it twice too. I've seen it once at the theater and then once at the theater.
But like I would have watched it. I actually probably would have watched it twice in the theater, but Shannon
And
was
the only
iffy
reason
on
I watched it a
after the
second
first time.
time was because I had 3 free tickets to AMC, so I took my best friend and her girlfriend and her boyfriend. So
But
they treated me to dinner, so that was nice.
like I normally don't have a problem with acquiring content less than morally.
Legally.
But
Yeah, close.
but with
That was my second guess.
Guardians, I want to acquire it fully legally, and just have been like, God, I don't want to spend $25 on the Blu-ray to get the ultraviolet copy, but I also don't want to get a digital-only copy.
And yeah, Rick, I get your point. Like, it's the first movie in the MCU where kids want the stuff. But I mean, I have a bow coming in this week that is based on the bow that Hawkeye used in the Avengers, because that's a thing. Like, I do archery, and I was like, hey, I need to order a new bow now that I'm outgrowing my starter bow. Oh, well, this is made by the same company, and it looks pretty spot on. So that's coming in this week. I'm just talking with his mic muted. He's on the phone with somebody. Yeah. It's good. Yeah, I really thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a fun film. Trying to back down now that you're like, you guys are going to peak too early, and yeah, just message us if you're going to be on Rain Delay anyway. So Kuon's gonna have your contact information, and we can just go from there. Yeah. It's a fun film. Yep. Oh, look, Kuon's gone. Yep. So I'm going to just fill dead air right now. Yeah, the internet. That was a topic. That was a thing. Yeah. It was a fun topic, and we did things with it. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. It's still, man, that was a good film. I was really excited before it came out too because they were having the IMAX 3D first look on July 7th, and I specifically was like, yes, I want to see this. I want to watch a scene of this film before it comes out because it looks so interesting, so fun, and so different from all of the other Marvel films. So I went and watched that, and for, I'd say, a solid 3 months, they were actually my favorite superhero team in the Marvel Universe. And that's counting like the Avengers and all of these specific Avengers divisions. And I'm not really that much of an X-Men fan, but I mean, I guess they exist there too. Yep, he's Kuhoff. He's Kuhoff to see the wizard. Wonderful Wizard of Oz. This happens all the time too, like when we're just recording. Like he'll get a phone call and then he'll leave. Usually at the end of the show, which is actually amazingly convenient. Yeah. Maybe Ghost Mike will swing in. We'll see. So for those of you who haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy, not a huge comic book superhero fan, but Guardians of the Galaxy kept your attention the entire time. Yeah, I think, and I've been saying this a lot, but I really do think that's the big thing about Guardians is it's just so different from every other Marvel film and every other superhero film that's come out before. Yeah, you probably did. Don't think he'll ever be properly done on screen. I mean, Channing Tatum's Gambit now, so that speaks volumes about that. Kitty Pryde's my favorite, so Ellen Page did a really good Kitty Pryde, so I'm happy for that. And that is like the only X-Men character I actively care about. Kulan actually has a working theory where people don't actually like the X-Men, but there are a lot of comic book fans who will like one or two specific X-Men characters or mutant characters, and they'll have one or two X books that are produced through the X-Men division in the Marvel offices that they will actually enjoy. Like, I don't consider myself an active X-Men fan, but I really like All New X-Men, which is running right now, and I really like Kitty Pryde, which is the reason I got into All New X-Men. But besides that, I don't really care for other X-Men stuff. Although I'm probably going to check out the latest adjectiveless X-Men story soon because it's written by the woman who writes Ms. Marvel, the current run with Kamala Khan. So that's bound to be interesting. I like buying things from creators I like, which is why I read Immortal Iron Fist because I liked Hawkeye. So, from the beginning, Guardians of the Galaxy. So, there's this kid, and he's at a hospital with his mom, and his mom is in the operating room. The films have just become the Wolverine story. I mean, considering there have been two films produced, and then one film in pre-production, I think, with Wolverine in the title, I don't think you're wrong there, Rick. Only First Class wasn't the Wolverine story. Yeah, but he did show up in First Class. We were talking about this a few days ago, but we think that Days of Future Past worked specifically because although Wolverine was in it and he was the focus of the plot was happening around him, and he was just there to just sort of move the story where it needed to be. He was the POV character, and stuff was happening around him, but it wasn't happening to him. Which is vastly different from, say, X-Men, where you see Wolverine is on the run, and then Rogue is on the run, and then Wolverine and Rogue are on the run together, and then they're at the mansion, and then Wolverine does some more things, and then look, here's Wolverine being amnesiac, and look, here's Wolverine with his claws. Do they hurt every time? Yeah, they do, bub. And then here's Hugh Jackman doing another thing, and then here's Wolverine saving the day at the Statue of Liberty because he saves Rogue, who is kind of Rogue, but also kind of not. She was like kind of Rogue, but also kind of Kitty Pryde, I would contend. Although one thing I will say about X-Men, the very first X-Men film, is that the Rogue here looks a lot better than it does in every other X-Men film. Most people were talking about the Wolverine scene more than the movie. The films at least got lucky in that they were early enough for the whole superhero movement, then they rested their laurels. Yeah, I mean, especially because the first X-Men film was in 2000, which was before the big superhero boom, really, which I would estimate hit around 2005-ish. So they had the first X-Men trilogy, and then they got a chance to do their spin-offs, and then when X-Men First Class took off, it was like, hey, we can work with this. And then we got X-Men Days of Future Past, and X-Men Apocalypse is going to be a thing, guys. And Apocalypse is going to be really interesting, because we're going to have Quicksilver there too, apparently. As well as young Scott Summers and young Jean Grey, which is going to be really, really interesting. Going to take place in the 80s. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like the reason they were doing all the spin-off films is because, like, okay, we told a good story with this trilogy, now let's tell other stories in the same universe, I guess? Oh no, definitely. It's totally possible to not entirely be there for the character, but applaud the performance, applaud the actor. Yeah, Aphex just said, I applaud Jackman for going all in the Wolverine character, though, but I still wish there was less Wolvie in the movies, even though he was one of my favorite characters. Honestly, greatly acted. Hugh Jackman is wonderful. It's just, honestly, you don't need to write every X-Men story around Wolverine. He's just one dude. Although, depending on who you talk to, there are multiple Wolverines. Because, I mean, there's his half-Japanese son Daken, there's X-23, who's his clone daughter, I think? X-23 is his clone, but I don't know the familial relationship they consider. I think they consider each other father and daughter. And you've also got a couple of other Wolverines. Rick Foster, I know at some point they were thinking about doing a Magneto film. I think the script for that got combined into X-Men First Class. Because I think after X-Men Origins Wolverine, they were going to do X-Men Origins Magneto, as well as X-Men Origins First Class or whatever. And then instead of doing the original 5 X-Men in First Class, they were like, oh, let's talk about Charles Xavier founding the Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters and put Magneto's relationship with Professor X in there too. And it worked really well. Oh, look who's back. We're talking about X-Men.
Back again. Did you tell them my X-Men theory?
I did. So, yeah, who is your X-Men character in your X books?
Me?
Yes.
Jamie Madrox.
And by extension, X Factor.
And X Factor Investigations book, yeah. Yeah, can't care about any other X-Men. Jesse, what do you think you saw with me? Is it Guardians? Because we definitely did not see Guardians together. I saw it with Shannon and her mom. They were thinking about a Magneto film that became First Class.
X-Men First Class, yeah. I think that script, like the script they had for the Magneto film, as well as another script, were combined quite well into First Class.
And so I don't know everything you said, but Aphex, I agree. I like. They definitely use a lot of Wolverine, and I don't know if this is the thing that I said with you, Joe. I think it was with you.
Probably, because we've talked about Wolverine a lot since November.
Yeah.
Because none of us are really Wolverine fans.
I just remember if there's something I said to you or to Caleb, or probably to both. You're probably both there. But Days of Future Past stars Wolverine, but it doesn't, like, it's not happening to Wolverine, it's happening around Wolverine.
Yeah, and I already mentioned that in chat.
Yeah. Where First Class doesn't have any Wolverine, and those are probably
Well, it has the scene.
the scene, but doesn't have any Wolverine at all.
People talk about the scene.
But like the movies with the most Wolverine are really the weakest. Like one has a good amount of Wolverine, but it's like not like Wolverine. Two again has a good amount of Wolverine, but it's not super Wolverine.
And then three is about
super Wolverine.
It's like, oh my god, Jean is dead, but now she's back. Broody, angsty.
And both
I'm
and
an
both
animal.
Wolverine movies are Wolverine.
Says
But
so in the title.
yeah, but yeah, that one's not. Jesse, no, I did not. I went to Steak and Shake with you guys, but I did not see Guardians, so you guys were not spoiling Guardians for me.
Okay.
Because I think. Oh, that was the Megabus debacle. That was when the Megabus stopped for 2 hours.
Right, I remember that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So after
So you were supposed to go with them to Guardians, and
I was
then
supposed to go to Guardians, and then we didn't.
And I was walking out of Guardians, and I'm like, I just saw Guardians, and you were like, I did not because the bus broke down.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's unfortunate. I won't spoil anything for you.
Yeah. And so I remember you guys were trying to tiptoe around spoilers, and then I remember because Zach told me like because you were trying to not spoil the Howard the Duck reveal at the end, and Zach told me like he's like the Lobo of Marvel Comics, and this is not why he was thinking it, but my first thought was, oh, if he's like Lobo, then it must be Howard the Duck, because when Amalgam Comics happened in 1995,
oh my god,
Marvel vs. DC, Lobo was combined with Howard the Duck to make Lobo the Duck, and that's why I equate Lobo with Howard the Duck, and so I immediately got it. I'm like, oh, it's Howard the Duck, and everyone's like, oh, come on, and really, I shouldn't have gotten it. It was something weird in Zach's head that he equated them, and me, I equated them because of something that happened in comic books.
Come on. Really?
What?
Really?
Amalgam Comics?
Yeah, Amalgam Comics of all things.
Yep. Yes, sir.
I mean, I'm pretty sure the joke was that Howard the Duck was also released on August 1st.
I don't know. I don't think that was the joke.
Yeah, because Howard the Duck was released on August 1st, and so was Guardians of the Galaxy.
I think that was just happenstance.
You think they just needed a new stinger?
No, I think it just happened. I think it just like they did it as a joke, and then it just happened to be released on the same day.
It was funny because Ethan was convinced for like a week afterwards. Oh my god, we're going to get Howard the Duck in the MCU because they cast Seth Green, man. We're going to get Howard the Duck in the MCU, and I'm like, yeah, but Seth Green's sort of there anyway.
First of all, was it ever confirmed that it's Seth Green?
Yeah.
When?
I'm not sure.
Because I don't think it was ever confirmed that it was Seth Green. I think it's just everyone thinks it's Seth Green. Maybe Seth Green tweeted about it. It might have been Seth Green. I'm not saying it wasn't Seth Green, but I don't remember if it was ever stated that it was Seth Green. God, I talk way too fast.
Says everywhere here that it's Seth Green, but I don't see like a direct source.
Yeah, that's just because everybody said it was Seth Green.
Yeah.
Unless Gunn or Green said it, I don't believe. I mean, unless one of the cast members themselves said it, or one of the cast or crew said it, I don't believe it. I've seen it everywhere.
With all the TV series, Netflixes, and all the movies coming out, do you see yourself getting worn out on comic book movies? I love it, but I don't know if I have the nerd stamina for all the content. Well, I don't think I'm going to see Fantastic Four. I don't think I'm going to see Sinister Six. And I don't think I'm going to see a DC film until Aquaman, maybe?
Oh, was it in the movie, Rick? Okay. It's fine. Oh, you watched Flash?
No, I said a DC movie.
I know. You watched The Flash, though.
I do watch The Flash. But I'm not going to see
This man alive!
I'm not going to see a DC movie until either Wonder Woman or Aquaman. And I honestly think if I see Shazam, it's just going to be for shits and giggles because Captain Marvel.
Oh, The Rock. I will watch anything with The Rock in it, pretty much.
Scorpion King?
Anything past that. Which, by the way, it's not that I don't like the Scorpion King. Like, I think Shannon loves that movie. I think Shannon really likes the Mummy movies. I just probably won't go back and watch that movie. I didn't watch Tooth Fairy either. Like, it's not that I'll watch anything with The Rock in it, but like, if something with The Rock, like if somebody's like, hey, let's watch this Rock movie, I'll be like, yeah, let's watch that movie. I will. Burnt Out? You know what? No, I won't. Cause I don't think I will. I've been reading comics for over 10 years now.
Yeah.
You know, so why if I don't get burnt out of the comics, which I spent more time on, why would I get burnt out of the movies, which are
Well, I
2
guess because
hours?
it's a different form of media, but you're getting more stories with these characters that you already enjoy.
Yeah.
You're just getting different sorts of stories with different sorts of takes on those characters.
And it's been something that I've been plotting in my head forever. Like oh, what if this happened? What if this universe would come out with this universe? And what if Walter White from Breaking Bad was the same character as Hal from Malcolm in the Middle?
Like, man, I would love to write Marvel What If.
Yeah, no, it'd be cool. But yeah, I don't see myself getting. We should actually, we should take that comment and put it in the feedback for the next episode of Marvelous.
Sure. Yeah.
Because that's a good question from Aphex. That we can definitely go more in depth on the actual show on Cinemarvelous episode 2, which you can find at imkuhan.com/Cinemarvelous, which right now is just a default WordPress theme that says Hello World.
So
And
Marvelous
probably-
is slated to be monthly, and we're going to get the first episode's all edited. I kind of want to go back and edit in a soundbite that Kuhan recorded earlier, but it's going to be out before this is, or before the episode we recorded right before this after show is. So
Yeah, because it should be out tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'd say. Whereas this I'm gonna work on over the next couple of days.
Yeah.
And Rick, I also would have been down for the Wolverine, but then Darren Aronofsky dropped out. I watched that movie, and man, it was bad. The only thing nice about it was, like Tom said on a couple weeks ago on Cord Killers, where he went to the AMC theater and the seats were really nice. The seats at my AMC in Algonquin, Illinois, are
Yeah.
amazing.
Dude,
And it's-
AMC's have nice seats.
But the nice thing, the sweet thing was, it's a $5 weekday matinee at that theater. So if you
I
went in
have-
on
I still have like 3 free tickets to AMC, and I'm
But, like,
waiting.
Yeah, but like if you went in on like a Wednesday at 3 o'clock, which is how I saw, I think that's how I saw the Wolverine. That's how I saw that Vince Vaughn movie Delivery Man.
You only burn $5 and you get a nice seat for 2 hours.
$5 for a hell of a nice seat. And it's a reclining. Like my brother sat in those seats and he was like, "How can I buy these for my house?"
Isn't Howard the Duck getting a new limited series?
I don't know. Tooth Fairy hype.
Tooth Fairy hype. Honestly, just thanks for watching this, guys.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited that people watched and then stuck around for another, by the way, hour after the show.
I'm glad that people stuck around for
For the
when I had
hour
to
before
carry
the
this
show.
with an X-Men conversation.
Hey, Brant, where's my money? Where's my money, bro? I never saw royalty checks. Where's my money, bro?
I was listening to that on my drive home on the way to this.
What? We had a T-shirt idea for this show, didn't we?
For this show?
Oh yeah. Weirdly
Probably
referential
character
cosplay.
Yeah, weirdly referential cosplay.
Weirdly referential cosplay, and then
Reference to the Christmas special
disseminate this podcast for
or Rain Delay.
Rain Delay.
Yes, Howard the Duck is getting a new series, Rick Foster says.
I don't believe it until Seth Green tweets it.
Man.
Okay, I also wrote at the bottom of this rundown. I want to do a Living as a Cord Cutter episode.
I mean, when you mentioned that you cut the cord, I just started thinking, and I'm like, I don't think I watch real TV anymore.
Rick Foster says it reminds me somewhat of Geekdrome. I never watched Geekdrome back in the day.
Huh.
Watched TRS, but I never saw Geekdrome.
Gatawag says he's eating the money.
The money. Yeah. Yeah, it's we didn't consciously cut the cord. I mean, I guess we never consciously cut the cord. It's my parents just didn't want to pay for cable, so we didn't pay for cable. So like I haven't had cable for a long time. they decided it wasn't worth it unless it was in a bundle with our internet at the times.
Like
So
I,
we had
I have AT&T Uverse. My family does, but personally, if I'm watching something, it's on some streaming service.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, when I moved in, we had AT&T Uverse because my roommate had Uverse and he wanted to have cable, and so we were paying for it, but it was really just there because he wanted it. And when he moved out, we just stopped getting Uverse because we could watch everything online anyway, and stuff we couldn't watch online we didn't care enough about. Like I didn't care enough about Girl Meets World to be like, oh no, I'd rather have Uverse. And I don't like my brother wasn't even watching anything on there that we couldn't get on streaming. So
Like I'm sure my family would
that
not.
account was your middle school's friend's mom account or something, but it was Getaway.
Plot thickens.
I'm very confused. So what you're saying is your middle school friend's mom
Was
is
the original
raking in-
Gatawag?
She's raking in all this fucking merch sales off of Kuhan t-shirts, and I'm not seeing a dime of it. I should.
But yeah, I don't think my family could have. I don't think my family is going to carry on if we cut the cord. But I feel like if and when I move out, I'm probably going to cut the cord because that's an expense I don't need, and like $8 to Hulu per month, that's like nothing.
Right. And I mean, like $8 to Hulu and $8 to Netflix, and $50 a year to Amazon Prime while you're a student
Yeah,
is
reasonable payments. Yeah. Aphex, I just started the newest gen experience with Joey Diaz, and so far, the first 10 minutes plus is all about cord cutting. I think Brian Brushwood talked about cutting the cord during his vasectomy.
And that's our show, everyone. Here it is, your moment of zen.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should do more live content.
It's been fun. It's been fun.
Yes, this has been good. We need to find another thing to do and then just do it all the time, forever. Except not, because we don't have that kind of time. Or do we? Could be unedited. Could get some music, plug it into my phone, have some ghetto, just be like, do 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 do, and it is go time. Do 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 do. 1776. We'll rise again, Piers.
Remember, kids, the Chat Realm Award nominated Kuhan for the dumbest shit. Night, Rick.
Rick is out. We should probably go.
All right.
It's just Brant and Jesse and Aphex watching, I think, now.
It's been rad, guys.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking with us.
And thanks
Especially
for
Rick.
putting us on DiamondClub.tv.
Yeah, thanks for putting us on this weirdly large platform that we didn't need to be on and got an extra 6 viewers at least from. Thanks, Rick, for watching from the beginning, like from technical difficulties all the way to now, and Jesse and Gatawag, and
Thanks, guys.
whoever else was around.
It's been fun.
Yeah,
Really, really fun.
It's been exciting. Follow us on Twitter.
Good night.
Bye.